Hi, everyone. Welcome to Hallmark Movie Drafts, the monthly podcast where guest panelists are all Hallmark movie enthusiasts who love to debate, rank, and create top 10 lists of Hallmark movies. It is August, it's the dog days of summer, and this month we are shining a light on the Hallmark filmography of writer Julie Sherman Wolfe, who has written or co-written 24 Hallmark movies that have aired as of today. Zero dogs, no notes. I'm your host, Lynn. Kate and Erinbeth are the co-hosts today. And listeners, we are shifting roles for this edition because I'm drafting on the panel this month, and I'm going up against two fierce and savvy competitors.
Yes, one of them is the reigning 2023 HMD champion.
Yeah.
The other is the second place winner.
Yeah, and she's good too. I only draft once a year, so I am ready to throw down. But we'll introduce them in a couple of minutes. But first, let's welcome our special guest. All 24 of her Hallmark movies are eligible for today's draft. She's been writing for television and film for over 25 years. And before finding her home at Hallmark, she's also written for young adult audiences, including the WGA award-winning Avalon High, which we love, primetime sitcoms like Third Rock from the Sun, independent feature films, and so much more. She's been involved in crafting some of Hallmark's most beloved movies with engaging storylines and characters that draw us in. We are super excited to have her join us today. She's going to buckle up and hang with us for the whole show. She's even put together her own personal top 10 list. That's going to be interesting. That she'll reveal at the end of the show. It's none other than Julie Sherman Wolfe. Julie.
Thank you.
Welcome to the chaos.
Thank you. I'm blushing already if you can't see. I really appreciate you guys doing this. This is not, us writers are not accustomed to this kind of a spotlight. So I really appreciate it.
We love it that you are here for the fun and the shenanigans. You are like the hottest thing in Hallmark right now, and you have been for like the last 10 years. We'll get to the new movie, but your very first movie was Hello, It's Me back in 2015, which features like Kelly Martin and a very baby-faced Kevin Smith.
Yes.
It's so quirky, but I'm dying to know, like, how did you even come up with that storyline?
That was actually a book, I think, if I remember. That was my first one where I was brought in, and I think it was a book, you guys. It's so fun. See, here's the little secret. Once I write the movie, it disappears from my brain completely, and to make room for whatever's next. So when I say I don't remember, I'm not trying to be coy. I'm actually, was it a book? Let's look. Yep. Based on a book by Wendy Corsi Stock. But that being said, generally when we do a book, it's very little remains of the actual book. It's just the most basic plot line of the book. So, but the idea of the kind of cell phone from beyond, I believe, was in the book. So there you go.
I think it's awesome.
But it's probably what's ironic is it's the most dramatic movie I ever wrote for them, because I ended up kind of moving into the comedy when they figured out that was something that I was better at doing. So that ended up being the more dramatic movie, the most dramatic movie of all of them, probably.
When I was looking at your filmography, it was astonishing to see that you've had like 2 movies, sometimes 3 movies a year roll out for Hallmark. I mean, like, what's your writing process like? That seems like a lot to me.
It is. It's a lot. Yeah. So it's kind of a feast or famine. So I'll have stuff that's in development, and then all of a sudden, nothing's going on, and then all of a sudden everything is happening at the same time. So then it's a little bit of prioritizing based on what the network needs first. And, if it's Christmas, right now, Christmas comes first. Those are all kind of getting filmed and wrapped up for this Christmas. And then I've got stuff brewing for, spring and summer. So that has to come next. But I always have a bunch of stuff in development in various phases. So some stuff it's just the idea that they like. And some stuff has already the outlines have been written, but they're just sitting there waiting for the next step. And then in summer, we're right in the process of doing it. I just had another movie greenlit, but I can't tell you what it is.
Oh man!
But it is, I can't. as soon as I'm allowed to, I promise I'll tell you first. But
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll count on that.
Okay.
So, I'm not asking on behalf of any particular drafter tonight, but how do you handle criticism and feedback on your scripts?
Well, let's put it this way. I got a letter sent to my home address from a 98-year-old woman who hated Hanukkah on Rye, like just to her core.
What?
And written but she took the time to find my actual address and send me a letter, and it typed out and then written with the script, this handwriting of a 98-year-old woman. And I just think with that kind of thing, generally I sort of, no one's ever going to, not 100% of the people are going to love anything. I mean, even if it's like the best thing I think I've ever written, there's still always going to be somebody that hates it. So my fun thing I'd like to do is collect the most insane stuff people say, and I keep it in a little file because I find it funny. And that letter is at the top, because that letter was just,
at 98 years old, the days, the hours are precious. I mean,
she took her time really out of the end of her life. Like, she really was like, this is what I'm going to do with the rest of my moments. And she was, stuff like, Jewish people don't talk like this. And I wanted to write, and of course I didn't respond, but I wanted to say, lady, literally, this is my family. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, this is how we talk, I'm sorry. And then makes me sound insane. I did a little research and found out she had a very unusual name. So I found out she didn't live in Boston where it was postmarked. She lived in Florida, and she belongs to the Universalist, like, Unitarian church. So I'm like, I think this was her kid writing the letter, and they say, here, Grandma, sign it because you're 98 and it sounds better coming from you, and how much I hated it. So like, that was my theory. I can't live with myself knowing that the 98-year-old woman hated it so much. So I have to believe that it was her next of kin who hated it, who just used her.
Either that or she is stealth, man.
I choose to believe. That's what I choose to believe.
That is crazy.
And when it comes to people like Dan who hate my movies, like,
me.
That's his job. That's his job. Saying you love everything is not going to get you an audience.
No.
Yeah, but also when I love it, it means something, because I'm not just like being nice. Like, I really do love it.
That's true, but that's the thing though. Everybody has their taste, So like, you might love something, just like on your own podcast, you might love something and a lot, and then everybody else is like, you're freaking crazy. So it is what it is. Like, as long as enough people love it that I keep getting hired to write them, I'm good.
Julie, you've only done 24 in 9 years. Like, what are you waiting on?
Well, now it's 26.
Good gosh.
Because of our little Kansas City movie, and then this other one that I can't talk about. So that would be technically 20. That'll be 26.
Well, I'm going to get to that little Kansas City movie in a second, but I'm still back on the idea of Dan liking a movie that nobody else likes, because that's a world that I would like to see on Deck the Hallmark Podcast.
I believe the one you like, Dan, that you really liked was Dickens of a Holiday more than most. Is that the one that you like?
There's two. I don't want to give away gameplay, but that
okay, don't do it.
That one and one other one that is a very deep cut. I enjoyed that more than I think the average person. I would say that those two. There's that one and one other one that I'll definitely mention at some point tonight.
All right.
That I do have higher. Yeah.
All right. Good. All
right. So, Julie, what can you tell us about your upcoming movie that features Tyler Hines, Hunter King,
and all kinds of
the Kansas City Chiefs.
Kansas City Chiefs,
Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift will both be there.
No.
I don't know. You're living in Patriots Nation.
I can tell you that Donna Kelsey's there for sure.
Yeah.
And Coach Reed and a bunch of players and all that stuff. And I really don't know anything else besides that with the Kelsey name. So yeah, that was it was funny because I could talk about it because I just did the TCA press tour on it, so I could talk about some of it. One thing is that I think at the beginning a lot of people thought we were telling the story of Travis and Taylor's relationship in Hallmark form, which is not the case. This is an original story that is takes place around the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's kind of a super fandom and a big family. And sort of the way that this whole family basically became a family because of football. And so that's what it really is. And that can be the reason I was able to put aside my total just like angst and sadness from the Super Bowl and write it was because the story is really more of a universal story about traditions and superstitions and family and Christmas and faith and all those other things that could be any team that you're a huge fan of. And so I took all the things I feel about being a 49er fan and just used the word Chiefs over and over and over until it just I became numb to it. And then I have to say, I do have a respect for the organization now, once I did the research and talked to people over there, and but still I just want to beat them so badly this season. I have a respect for the team, but and I'm, and I wrote the movie that if you didn't know I was a Niner fan, you would think I was a huge Chiefs fan. Like that was just sort of my goal as a professional, that you would not know the difference. You would that and I think I pulled that off. So yeah, so that's kind of where that's at.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm curious because I live in Kansas City.
Yes.
And so my husband, my family, like Chiefs fans. So I'm just curious why, like, if you are not decidedly not a Chiefs fan, why set it? Why is that the setting? Is it just
because Hallmark is based in Kansas City, the entire company of Hallmark, and those two units, like the Chiefs and Hallmark, are such big deals in Kansas City, and it just seems like they've always sort of worked in tandem as far as just the way that the family is and the way the Hallmark group is, and they have a very similar way of kind of looking at their fans and looking at family, and they have a very similar style to the way that they run their businesses, and I think they just felt like it made sense for them. And also because they had so much attention with the romance of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, and because we did the we did the ESPN piece that I wrote over Christmas, that that the entire season was sort of like a giant Hallmark Christmas movie, and I wrote that, and that was filmed here in my house. And so it was kind of I was always sort of the football person anyway, and the Chiefs were always kind of part of the Hallmark world. So that's just kind of, and then the Travis and Taylor stuff. So sort of all just made sense at the time.
Yeah.
Did you write it with Tyler in mind? Did you write it with him in mind, or?
Yeah, because they did a little short, like a trailer over Christmas about the postseason with Janelle Parrish and Tyler. And it was the Chiefs thing. So that was also, I think, part of the reason that they wanted to do it, was because that got a lot of really, I had nothing to do with that, but that got a lot of attention, that they made a little trailer about it and Tyler was in it. So I definitely had Tyler in mind writing the character. Yeah.
Wow, great. Anybody else have any questions for Julie before we move into gameplay and all that good stuff?
Were you a Hallmark fan before you started writing Hallmark movies? Like, was it like, oh, I love these movies, I want to start writing them?
Not necessarily. I mean, kind of. I'm a romantic comedy fan. So wherever I could find that, I would find it. So there were a few movies that Hallmark had done in the years prior to me writing for them that I really enjoyed. But I wouldn't, when I started, it was sort of right when they started getting really big in the zeitgeist and getting to be kind of this whole phenomenon of their own. So I was kind of in when that all started as well, like maybe a few years afterwards. But what you'll find about us writers is that we generally don't have time to watch that much of the stuff that we're of that. So like, even I'm very good friends with two other writers who write a lot of Hallmark movies, and we always joke that we don't even have time to watch each other's movies, but we always promise we'll watch one a year, just so we remember why we like each other. Well, we're really good friends. We actually just all went to Disneyland together on last Tuesday. Yeah, so we're good friends. So it's nice to have your work wives that you can talk to that understand sort of what you're going through. It's so, but yeah, so I'm a fan of the genre. Let's put it that way.
Perfect. Well, I'm a fan of bourbon. I know you're a fan of bourbon as well, and you know that we always do a themed beverage. We do a mocktail and a cocktail. So I created a bourbon-based cocktail called the Wolf Pack. And I'm drinking one right now. You can see one right here.
Yeah, let's see yours. That looks really good.
Looks really good.
Yeah,
Did you try one?
I thought I had amaretto and I didn't. So you know what I'm drinking? Drinking my summer beverage of choice is my Hugo. But I am gonna try the Wolfpack once I get some.
Awesome. She gets some amaretto. And
Yeah.
Erinbeth created a mocktail, and you're going to find both of those recipes on our Instagram at Hallmark Movie Drafts. So right now, I am going to stop talking. I'm going to turn the show over to Kate and Erinbeth to do the panelist intros, get us through the trivia round with Julie, so we can start getting down to drafting the list. So Kate, it is all yours.
All right, so we have 3 drafters today who are huge fans of Julie's movies, and they've come up with their own personal top 10 list, and they're going to try to get their personal favorites onto the final top 10 list, ideally in the same ranked position they have them on their personal list. They each get 1 point for every title that's on their personal list that makes it to the final list, and an extra point if that title is in the same ranked position as it was on their personal list. Whoever has the most points wins, and they get bragging rights, but they also are eligible to compete in the 2024 Hallmark Movie Drafts Tournament of Champions. So our first drafter tonight is Daniel Thompson, aka Dan from the Deck The Hallmark Podcast, and current Hallmark Movie Drafts champion from the 2023 season.
Boo.
Thanks for saying that last part. That's important. I didn't even bring my trophy in here, so didn't want to intimidate anyone. But maybe at the break I'll go grab it. It is in the other room there. So
yeah, I think that's important. Yes. Dan, if you were to be recast in one of Julie's movies as a Hall star, which one of them would it be? Which role would you want?
You said recast as though I've already been cast, and that's news, which is we're breaking.
You're so good at correcting English on
the reason that Julie can't say anything about that other movie is it stars me. That's the problem.
Dan, God, I'm gonna get in so much trouble.
That's a great question. I think realistically, like if you're asking me, I'd love to be in Dickens of a Holiday because he's a movie star and that seems fun. Realistically, Holiday Hotline, maybe Wedding Every Weekend. I'm kind of like, sardonic and like Paul Campbell. So maybe those two would be more realistic than Dickens of a Holiday.
I love it. I think I could see you doing the monologue in Dickens of a Holiday.
That's a great question. That's a good question. And I didn't want to spoil our news that I'm transitioning into leading roles for Hallmark. So.
Well, next up we have Mary. Mary, you finished in second place to Dan in the 2023 championship. I'm sorry to rub that in anymore.
Congrats on being
thanks for bringing it up that I was first loser. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Hey, you've still beat all the rest of us, so that's something to be proud of.
I guess maybe.
So same question. Which of the Julie Sherman Wolfe characters would you like to bring to life?
I mean, I guess it's a little awkward now that Dan said he could be the Paul Campbell character in Wedding Every Weekend, because I'm always going to pick Kimberly Sustad to play me in the movie of my life.
Make a movie together, Mary. That's not awkward at all. It's only awkward if you make it awkward.
I would.
We are already off
say
the
that
rails.
you were going to be Paul Campbell. Because I'm going to be Paul Campbell too.
Now it's
Don't we
awkward.
all?
Yeah.
All right.
He is a delight.
Yep. Finally, our third panelist. She's coming to the match with a leftover veto from the fake relationship draft, which I believe was February 2022. Long time ago. It's Lynn, our host. She's drafting today.
Yay!
Lynn, Sam Page is not in any of these movies, but if you were to be a All-Star,
You're better for it.
Which role would you like?
I would be Vanessa Marcel, the convenient groom.
Oh, wow.
Deep cut.
Yeah, absolutely. Just say no. Just no. Just no. Best line ever written.
Forgot all about it, but thank you again.
And I would want Paul Campbell to star against me.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. All right. So let's get into eligibility here. To be eligible, the movies had to have aired on the Hallmark Channel or the Hallmark Mystery Channel, be written or co-written by Julie. There are 24 movies that have aired so far. These 2 new movies don't count yet, so we're sticking to these 24. You can see the movie list on Instagram at Hallmark Movie Drafts or in our Letterboxd at Hallmark Drafts. The 3 drafting positions. There are 3 drafters, A, B, and C. For drafter C, you get to pick position 10, 7, and 3 on the list. You get 1 veto and 1 veto override. Drafter B picks positions 9, 6, 4, and 2 on the list. Drafter B gets 1 veto card only because they get 4 picks, so more chances to get the movies from your personal list onto the final list. And drafter A picks positions 8, 5, and number 1. And they also get 1 veto and a bonus veto. So this position gets the number 1 movie and 2 vetoes. All right, how do we decide who gets to be drafter A, B, and C? That's where Erinbeth and Julie come in. Erinbeth is going to review the trivia rules, and then Julie is going to test your knowledge with a round of trivia questions. One change to this month's trivia contest: the first person to answer 2 questions correctly gets to choose whether they want to be drafter A, B, or C. And then the second person to answer the next question correctly gets to choose from the remaining 2 positions. Then remember,
Unless we tank.
Yes. Then I'm just going to flip a coin. Remember, if you win the trivia round, you'll also be first in the veto card order. In each round, you'll be the first to declare if you agree with a pick or if you're going to veto it. Lynn has a leftover veto so that she can use her additional veto in addition to whichever veto she comes up with in her drafting position. All right, I'll pass it on to Erinbeth for the trivia rules.
I feel privileged to know that Julie will be reading the trivia questions I wrote. Originally, I thought no big deal because she could, come up with her own. But now, after what you've said about forgetting your movie,
I have one though. I have one to replace the
You do
first
have
one
one?
that I ruined. I have a good one. Yes.
I was like, oh, it's a good thing because you said you don't remember it afterwards. But I'm going to read our rules for trivia. Number 1, you cannot answer until Julie has finished asking the question. As soon as Julie finishes asking the question, you're going to shout out your answer. And then I will call on whoever shouted out first and tell you whether your answer was correct or not. When I call your name, you just need to make sure that if I do say that your answer is correct or not correct, if I do say your answer is not correct, you allow the other drafters to answer before you try again. There aren't any clues. When it is clear that the drafters do not know the answer, we will just move on to the next question. And just a reminder again, as Kate said, the first drafter to answer 2 questions correctly will pick their drafting position first, and then the next drafter to answer a question correctly will pick second. Is everyone clear? I know there's a couple of rule changes for this episode. All right, if we are clear, then I'm going to hand the question asking on over to Julie.
By the way, I can't read number 2, so that one's going to be you're going to have to read that one because that's the one I can't read at all on my side. But I'll do number 1, which is a new one now since I ruined the first one. Okay, you ready? Okay, in Hanukkah on Rye, 2022, when you're putting toppings on a bagel after cream cheese, what is the next topping that belongs on the bagel according to our lead female character?
Tomato.
Yes.
Lynn did holler at an answer. Is tomato correct?
No.
Tomato's not correct. Dan or Mary, do you want to attempt?
I said, is it lox?
No.
Capers.
Capers. There it is.
Capers is correct.
Capers. All right, Mary. That is 1 correct for Mary. If she gets another one correct, then she will get to pick first. We'll just move on to question number 3. If we completely blow through the list, I will ask that question number 2.
Okay. All right. Okay. In Always Amore with Autumn Reeser and Tyler Hines, what instrument is being played when they kiss at the water fountain?
Violin.
That is incorrect, Mary.
Harp.
Did you really think that was correct? Sitting there on a harp.
Giant
What did you
thing
say?
They're doing. I said
You
harp.
said harp.
I don't remember.
Flute.
Lynn.
Flute.
That is also incorrect.
How about cello?
Are we-
Saxophone.
Again, I would
One
have
more-
gotten this wrong too.
I'm like, one more chance, Lynn. The other two got to name it. Throw an instrument out there. One that you think could be played next to a fountain.
accordion.
No.
That's a good guess.
Washboard.
Guitar.
Spoons.
Tin can.
Okay. Julie, what was the correct answer?
It was a ukulele.
God, yeah.
Okay.
Harp was so close.
That must have been
In
a game time
Italy?
decision.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure I wrote guitar, so I think that might have been an onset decision. So that doesn't count though for this.
Somebody said, this is a guitar, right? And they handed it to me.
Give me the
Close
world's
enough.
smallest guitar.
Exactly. All right, should we do the next one then?
Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead and go to the next.
Okay. In One Royal Holiday with Laura Osnes and Tom McGowan, what is special about the holiday socks Laura wants Tom to wear? But it's not really Tom.
It's
wearing it.
Aaron.
Tom
It's
McGowan
Aaron.
is. It's really. It's Aaron
It's
Tveit.
Aaron
Yeah.
Tveit,
What does she want Aaron
Yes,
Tveit to
I'm
wear?
sorry.
What is special about those socks?
Did she make them?
That
No.
is incorrect.
Do they light up?
It's
No.
incorrect.
They're magical.
These are very hard questions.
It's incorrect.
I think Mary should get
I think
first
Mary
pick.
should just get first pick.
That's
Let
right.
Dan and I suffer.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
These are really hard.
Yeah. These are super
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, they are.
Right.
Yeah.
Pick an easy one, Julie.
Go ahead. Go.
Well,
The answer is they are fuzzy.
Oh, they're
They're
fuzzy.
They're fuzzy. They're fuzzy
Right.
socks. All right, Julie, number 5.
And so I wouldn't have remembered this either. Okay, in Wedding Every Weekend with Kim Sested and Paul Campbell, it takes place in what trendy city?
Portland.
Seattle.
Mary got it.
Well, she already
The
won.
answer is correct.
Mary wasn't supposed to be
She wasn't
playing.
supposed to be playing.
No, because we're
I know.
Yeah,
we
Mary.
didn't
just
do
because
that.
the drafters decide to change the rules.
I thought I had to get
mid-episode
two
just every
correct.
week.
Yes,
All right.
yes,
Yes,
you're correct.
Mary, you had to
All
get 2 correct. Okay, next person to answer a question
my gosh.
correctly between Dan
And
and
we can
Liz.
do this. We can do this, Dan.
We got this.
While
We got
This
it.
one's hard.
Mary-
Should I ask an easier one for this
Yeah,
one?
you should.
Yeah.
You
All right.
should.
just
Yeah.
don't
All
make
right.
it, Julie, just don't ask number 8. I
Okay.
think that's way too easy.
Okay, I'm doing number 10. In Field Day with Rachel Boston and Ben Ayers, Ben is selected to be the teacher in which wet festival activity?
The dunking
Field day.
machine. The dunking
Glenn
machine.
got
The
it.
dunk
Dunk
tank.
Yeah.
The dunk tank is
You
correct.
did it.
We did it.
Yay!
Yay. God.
All right. So the veto order is
That
going to be
was
Mary,
hilarious.
then Lynn, then Dan. And Mary, you get to pick your drafting position first. So would you like to be drafter C, B, or A? Do you want me to reread the positions or anything?
No, I'm gonna go with A.
Okay, got it. All right, Lynn.
I am going to go. Wow. I'm going to go with B.
Got it. All right, so Dan, you get to be drafter C, which means in a second you got to come up with your number 10 pick, but I have a couple
I'm
quick
already ready, don't
reminders. Oh, good. All right.
Who am I? Is this in the chat? Where am I going
No,
with this?
you're just going to
No,
say
you're
the
just
title.
gonna say it, but just a second. We'll start in a second here. So just a couple quick notes before we start playing. When it's your turn to offer up a movie, just state the movie title. I'll review the year, the stars, the synopsis. You'll state your case as to why you like this movie, why you chose it for the list, and why you put it in that position. And if it doesn't get vetoed, that's where it stays. If your pick does get vetoed, you choose a different movie until one sticks. We also have a side hustle going. Erinbeth and I have put together our own top 10 lists, and whichever one of us gets the most titles that appear on the final list wins absolutely nothing but bragging rights. And Julie's also made her own personal top 10 list, so she's going to be competing with us as well.
Dan, do you need to get Chris Palaha's permission before you make any of your picks?
I don't, but thanks for asking. You know, that would be nice, you know, but he'll be happy, I think, with how it goes. I feel
Okay.
like at
I
least
feel like you might
know,
be.
as
I
much
feel
as-
like you might be. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Alright,
We'll see.
alright.
Are we
Okay.
ready?
We're ready to go. Let's hear your number 10 there, Dan.
Number 10, I'm going with Finding Santa.
Huh.
Finding Santa.
Okay.
I'm gonna make little sounds whenever you guys. I'll go. Oh.
All right. Finding Santa from 2017 stars Jodie Sweetin as Grace and Eric Winter as Ben. A Christmas festival parade organizer, Grace, must find a suitable stand-in when the popular Santa is injured. The mayor's numbskull son, Clint, is a nightmare, so everyone hopes Thompson and formerly grim successor Ben White can be convinced. She seeks him out in the Big Apple, where she sort of wins his friendship during the long drive home. He remains reluctant to replace his dad in the parade, and his blossoming romance with Grace seems compromised. Dan, why do you have this in number 10?
So I've had the good fortune of getting to talk on and off with Julie for the last 6 years, and I know that Julie has strong opinions about her movies and will tell you this is where I wrote it this way, they did this. What I do also know is that new Hallmark allowed Julie to really show you what she could do. Not that her older movies aren't good, but I think you will find on my list, regardless of if I win or not tonight, the majority of my list takes place from 2020 forward, because I think they're better written movies. I don't know what to tell you. If we're doing this the right way, the movies that are written the best are the ones that I'm going to put on here. I think there's a hard line at 8. I think the top 8 of these movies, in my opinion, are relatively non-negotiable, especially 7 of them. Actually, I'll say 7. There are 7 of these movies that I think are just head and shoulders better. 2017 to me is the year that is, in my 17-18 is the year of the quintessential Hallmark movie for people that don't watch Hallmark. So like everyone that thinks they know what a Hallmark movie is, big city girl, small town, all of the tropes that you see on TikTok and on the memes and the GIFs and everything. In my opinion, that is peak 2017-18 energy. That is where that is kind of its most ripe. This movie is preposterous. It is a Santa school. In a town has a Santa school and a parade so famous, it's on its 50th year. And they're having some big organization cover it, yet they can't find anyone to be Santa.
That's right, Dan.
Booked. Everybody's booked. They're booked.
That's correct.
It's in the middle of the afternoon. All of these Santas you would think would jump at the opportunity to be Santa. Nah, we're booked. We're booked. We got a school. We're booked. There's nothing we can do.
Dan, you understand if they have Santas, then there's no movie. There's lots of
that's
Santas.
true. That's true.
That's how that works.
We get this 83 minutes because they're all booked.
There's no Santas. If there's Santas, it's where's the Santa? Hey, here's a Santa. The end.
Here's one. Roll credits. Yeah, exactly. And then I get my 80 minutes back.
That's right. Why? Because movie. That's the answer.
Right. So while it's preposterous, the other thing that is preposterous about this movie is there is no actual Santa magic in it, which with a title like Finding Santa, Hallmark almost always is guaranteeing you there's going to be a little
ching, 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 ching.
Yeah, yep. That's right. And this is just we're playing it right down the middle. If my kid watched this movie with me, he'd be like, there's no, like, he would realize that Santa was all just people in malls or being trained in a school somewhere. And so what I love about it is that it sticks out for that era in being a movie that it kind of goes against type. And also, I like Jodie Sweetin a lot. I wish she was in these movies more. I feel like I haven't seen her. I saw a mystery movie with her lately, but that's about it. Eric Winter is Sam Page, but better. So for me, I don't really have strong feelings about 9 or 10. I think there's a bunch of movies that I would be fine with at 9 or 10. After that, I'm going to be very specific. So if you're picking at 9, there's only one movie I will veto. There's one movie I don't want on this list. But aside from that, I don't really care about 10 and 9. And so I'm going to choose the crazy Jodie Sweetin, Eric Winter, quintessential. Before in my opinion, in 2020, when Hallmark changed leadership, they're like, we're going to let Julie Wolfe cook. And she started making movies that were like legitimately, I would show this to people and go, look, this is how you write a movie. Before then, Julie had to be in a box of like, this is what's expected. And so
that's not pre-2020,
pre-2020, this movie fits the mold and is also very preposterous, so it's on my list. Sorry that was so long, but that's why.
Mary, you're first up in the veto order. What are your thoughts on Finding Santa?
I mean, that was so many words, Dan. We already had a whole episode.
I know. I'm sorry.
That was a lot.
That was the one movie for that. That's my one movie where I had to get all that out. I'm sorry.
Of all the movies, number 10. Yeah, I'm not going to veto this. I don't have it on my list, but I also like Jodie Sweetin, and I like Eric Winter. I watched The Rookie. I keep seeing him on my Instagram reels doing funny stuff, which makes me like him even more. When Deck the Hallmark recently did an episode reviewing this movie, it reminded me that I liked it. So I didn't put it on my list because there are so many good ones to choose from, but I'm not going to veto it either. I don't hate it.
All right. Lynn, you're up next. What are your thoughts on Finding Santa?
So my thoughts on, I agree with everything that Mary and Dan just said, with the possible exception of Dan's qualifier about 2020, but it's only number 10. We'll get to it. Eric Winter, totally agree. Big Rookies fan. He's got charm galore. Jodie Sweetin is adorable. I prefer her so much more than her other Full House co-star. So I will watch anything that she is in. Yeah, I'm fine with it. It did not make my list, but it was in my top 12. So it'll do.
All right. So Finding Santa is stuck here at number 10. Number 9 up next, we have Lynn. Lynn, do you have your number 9 pick ready?
I do have my number 9 pick ready. It is Hello, It's Me from 2015, 5 years before 2020.
All right. Hello, It's Me, as we've already stated, came out in 2015, stars Kevin Smith as James and Kelly Morton as Anne. 2 years after her husband dies in a sudden accident, Annie and her 2 children are left to cope with the loss. Annie can't imagine falling in love again until she meets a wealthy bachelor who is drawn to her free spirit. Afraid to love again, she longs for guidance when she starts to develop feelings for this new man. Her prayers are answered when she starts receiving communication from her late husband that encourage her to follow her heart. Lynn, why do you like this movie at number 9?
So I really love the idea of being able to maybe have communication from a loved one who's died, whether it's in your phone or with a cardinal in the backyard, whatever your beliefs are. I think that I'm really not a Kelly Martin fan or a Kevin Smith fan per se, but there's some beautiful dialogue here. There are some really poignant moments. I like the fact that his character doesn't view her as being completely insane when she sees her phone flipping out and she thinks that her dead husband is trying to message her and give her some guidance. I think there's some more beautiful scenes towards the end as well when they're on their beach. It really did almost make me cry at the end, and I'm not usually into the sads at all. He's got a good rapport with the daughter in the film. I love the way that they start to build their relationship. And also, I'm a huge fan of suspense and paranormal thriller movies. So as I was watching this, I couldn't help but think that with a different soundtrack running through the whole movie, it could be repackaged for Lifetime, same title, same everything. Hello, it's me. Wah! And the phone comes alive. And there's, half it coming out. But yeah, this movie was eligible for the When Calls the Heart lead cast drive. That was our first anniversary in September 2023 show. And it didn't make the list at all, but it was still on my personal list. So I'm hoping it finds a place here at number 9.
All right, let's see if it does find that place. Mary, what are your thoughts on Hello, It's Me?
Listen, everything Lynn just said was so lovely. Cardinals in the backyard and all that.
Oh no!
And I want to save my vetoes to I want them to roll over for the Christmas episode, honestly.
You're gonna need them for Brian.
Right. But I just let Dan's movie that's not on my list go. And then I have my own personal movie that's probably not on anybody's list. The math just doesn't work for me to let this slide. So I am
Do you
sad
want to
say.
see it at number 6 instead?
Oh boy, she wouldn't. Mary, she wouldn't.
I don't
She would
think
not put this movie at 6.
there are too many, and I'm not just saying this because Julie's here, because you know I
That's why I feel like. Do you guys want me to like go away for an hour and then come back? when
no.
you're done?
Listen, I
No.
said this in the chat.
This
I
is the
wrote
good
it
It
down
stuff.
in the
it doesn't
chat.
bother me in the least, but if it makes you guys feel like you can't say, you can say whatever
No.
you want. I swear to God, you're not offending me.
Somebody,
Ask
I
Dan.
told them that. Somebody
Ask
in the
Dan.
chat was like, I'm so nervous Julie's going to be there. And I was like, listen, this is I will, if I think your choice, I'm going to be like, this movie sucks. I'll say it. Julie loves this. She's not going to bother her a bit.
Julie's
It's
here
true.
for
I
it.
said,
She made
I
it
said I was
super
nervous, but I
fast.
also said, how can I narrow it down to just 10?
Yeah.
So I say a lot of things, and right now I'm
You
going
know.
to say veto.
Ooh,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. Boy.
How dare you?
Julie, what do you think of this movie? Before I try
okay.
to pick another
Well,
one.
This was my first one, and obviously is much more dramatic than the ones I've written since. But it's still, people still do frequently tell me that it's one of their favorite movies, and it really makes them cry. And my dad's passed, and I do believe in sort of these signs from beyond, minds of feather, not, so that's my thing. So I mean, that had a more personal thing for me, and I thought, if I watched it again, I might think, oh, it's a little heavy, but I think people really respond to it. So that's me. As long as people are still digging it, then I'm cool. Even if it's not Mary, it's all right.
All right.
Sorry, I'm really cold-hearted. I
I know
just
it's
put that in the bio.
It's all right.
I mean, you got
Nope.
2 vetoes. It was nice to go ahead and get one. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's what you do when you get an extra veto.
Yeah.
Well, you play it.
All right. I'm ready with my number. I'm
right.
ready with my replacement.
Let's have it.
Yeah. Well, you brought it on yourselves, you guys. Taking a shot
Oh.
at love. Number 9.
All right, Taking a Shot at Love came out in 2021. Stars Alexa Pena-Vega as Jenna and Luke McFarlane as Ryan. Former professional ballet dancer Jenna works with NHL star Ryan Cooper to help him recover from an injury using ballet as therapy. And as they grow close, he helps her mend her injured heart. Lynn,
Yeah.
why is this one at number 9 now?
He does. Luke McFarlane totally delivers on this. It doesn't matter that he's
He's
3
so
feet.
hunky.
He's not that he's 3 feet taller than Alexa. It doesn't. I have no issue with that. So it still works for me. I love that she practices, and I'm not going to say it correctly. Hygge.
Oh, Hugo.
Huga. She
Huga.
practices Huga.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm doing things wrong. I didn't know a ballet instructor has a house that was like rocking so big. She's got a guest house that he's going to stay in.
And it was probably it was probably in the family. Also, it's not as expensive. The East Coast is much cheaper, which is why I live here. So,
Yeah, and I live a couple of states north of you. Yeah, it's
But I
super-
set that in my actual town. Like I called it Avon. Like I said it here on purpose. So
Yeah.
That's fun.
Just seeing, it's a fun movie. It's got some great dialogue. They've got a good chemistry together. It's warm, it's fuzzy. I watch it anytime that it comes on. So it needs to be on the list. I wouldn't want to see it higher on the list, but I think it's good at number 9.
All right, Mary, what do you think of this one?
I mean, it's fine. I liked it okay. I didn't put it on my list because I know that Dan hated it. I mean, not that narrows it down, but for some reason, that's like his hatred of this specific movie stuck in my mind. So I mean, if I was going to pick one of her Luke McFarlane movies, I would have picked the other one, but I'm okay with this. I liked it.
All right,
Hey, Dan, you tell me why you hate it, and I'll tell you why you're wrong. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think relatively speaking, I don't hate this movie. There are movies on this list I hate a lot worse that you've written, but I do think for me, the idea I couldn't. Anytime we deal with professional athletes, it typically is hard for me. It on Hallmark, like it very rarely. I don't think if ever have I felt like it's gone well. And
Lucky for you, the Kansas City Chiefs movie is not actually about any football players.
My thing is when I heard about it, my first thing was, is Hines a kicker? Like, what's good? Like, you know what I mean? Like, but then, you know, when I found out the plot, I was like, great. And so Luke McFarlane, like, can skate, has athletic build. I don't think that's it. I think this whole thing of like professional athlete who's now in a guest house and dancing with children, I guess that there's an adorability to it. And also, like, I mean, I guess I can say it now that she's not on the network. Like Alexa Pena Vega, excuse me, like never really was in a movie that I have enjoyed. And so you put those two things together, and I can get over a 50, you know, a Santa school not being able to produce a Santa for a parade, but a professional athlete who, like, everything is dialed into a very, like, when you're a professional athlete, everything's dialed into a very specific, you know, regimen. It was so hard for me. I mean, as you can imagine, Fourth Down and Love probably won't be on my top 10 anytime soon either. So it's not for me. Having said that, out of 24, it was 14 on my list. So you could, in all honesty, you could do a lot worse. I've only got one veto. I told you I didn't care about 9, aside from one movie. There's one movie I didn't want to see there. Aside from that, I did not care. So I'm letting it ride. Right. Even though it would not be my choice.
I feel like I'm going to say this a bunch of times to you tonight, Dan. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Hallmark movies are not documentaries.
What? Out of here. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Sometimes I think that you think that these need to be extremely accurate, and we try our very best. But remember, it's still a movie, and it's not very entertaining to watch a guy rehab from an ankle injury in real life. Yeah. So, you know, again, because the movie exists, we must have fun.
Yes, of course.
So there you go.
And I will say this, in response to that, I think everyone has their thing. Like, there are some of these, like, there's a lot of Hallmark movies about photographers, and I know photographers are like, ugh, these movies suck, these pictures are terrible.
Right, I know, totally.
Even though I'll make fun of them, I don't care. I don't have a photographer's eye. I don't care. Like, I think everyone has their thing. Like, for Brandon, it's music. Like, the music, my you know, he can't deal with music that's bad, or like, art that's bad. For me, you know, I'm not a professional athlete. I coached basketball for 20 years. I've played a lot of sports. That's the hardest bridge. There was a golf movie this year with Marcus Rosner, and it was unwatchable. I couldn't watch this guy acting like a golf pro. I just couldn't do it. So it is my thing. I need to get over it.
I totally get it. But can I say one thing about Fourth Down and Love? Just remember that a bunch of Canadians made that movie, and they did not know.
No.
Believe me. Believe me when I tell you, my football was sound in that movie. I promise you.
I bet it hurts you more than anybody.
I promise you that my football was correct, and everything in there was that's just all I have to say about that. Okay, go on.
Yeah,
right.
fair.
We believe you.
All right. Well, taking a shot at Love is now our number 9 spot, and our first movie from Mary, number 8. What have you got?
Man. Okay, I'm conflicted. Okay, I'm going to pick my number 8, which is The Christmas Club.
All right, Christmas Club. That is from 2019. It stars Elizabeth Mitchell as Olivia and Cameron Matheson as Edward. Two busy strangers, Olivia Bennett and Edward Taylor, meet when they help an elderly woman find her lost Christmas savings. Thanks to fate and Christmas magic, they also find something they were both missing: true love. Mary, why do you have this at number 8?
Okay, so I will admit that when I read about this movie or saw a commercial for it or whatever, I was not super excited. But after I watched it, my response was one of my favorite responses to Hallmark movies, especially in those earlier years, which is, oh my gosh, this was a movie about grown-ups acting like grown-ups. Like, you know, the whole like old lady loses her money, whatever. Like, no offense to Julie who wrote it, but
that was a novella. Was that little inciting incident came from the novella? So I will just go ahead and pass that criticism right off of myself.
Perfect. So my friend and I that podcast a lot about Hallmark movies, we often say the plot doesn't matter. And that was one of those cases. Like the plot didn't matter. Yes, it was nice to see them doing nice things, random acts of kindness, but it was grown-ups acting like grown-ups. And that is why I have a soft spot for that particular movie. And I will say I did not go back and rewatch the whole thing prepping for this recording, but I did watch the trailer. And gosh darn it, Cameron Matheson's so freaking cute.
Isn't cute?
Yeah. I mean, that's just like icing on the cake, I think. But yeah, I like this movie.
All right, Lynn, do you like this movie?
Yeah, it's number 24 on my list, veto.
Wow.
Whoa, my gosh.
I think you guys you're even now on this.
Hey,
All
you know
right.
what's great? You know what's great
we're
about
the
this
feud,
game
huh?
is Kate, drafter C gets a little thing called a veto override.
That's true.
And that's happening right now.
Yes.
We are veto overriding Lynn's veto. Christmas
What?
Club, stamp it. It is in there. Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah.
Signed, sealed, delivered.
I have
Wait,
to say I'm
Lynn-
happy about this. I'm very happy about this.
Is it the dance? Is the dance thing? Is it the dancers?
Yes.
Lynn, tell me why you hate the movie first, then I can tell you why it's on the list still. You don't want to be mean?
I don't want to be mean, but
Come
let me
on.
just say, like, Julie, it's the dancers, first of all. Secondly, I don't want anyone else to hear me, so I'm just going to tell you guys. I'm not a Cameron Matheson fan.
Oh.
Fair.
And out of his movies, this wouldn't be one of the ones that I would choose to watch again. That said, mostly it's because I have other movies that I feel really strongly about, and I want them all on this list. So congratulations, Dan, you have overridden me. And I have signed you up for the 2026 10 best athletic themed movies in Hallmark.
Oh boy.
Draft.
Oh boy. There's not 10. There's not 10.
If there are, I've written 5 of them.
I was about to say, I can tell you right now the Chiefs movie is going to be number 1. Because there's no like athlete as the lead. That's why it's going to be 1.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say about Christmas Club is everything Mary said is accurate. I believe that was 2019. This was the biggest surprise of that year. Julie, this is the other movie, along with Dickens of a Holiday, that I am higher on than most people. And it is exactly for what Mary Carver said. You have 2 actors, veterans, who are acting and talking like adults. And shouldn't be that big of a compliment. But the problem is that doesn't happen in these movies. And you know what? Contrary to popular belief, old Dan over here, he likes himself some Christmas magic when it's done right. And the Christmas magic in this movie is perfect. It's exactly what we need to complement Elizabeth Mitchell and Cameron Matheson. This movie is a delight. I do enjoy this movie. It was higher up on my list than 8, but thrilled that I can go ahead and veto override and use that and keep it on this list because it deserves to be here. I think pre-2020, is the best adult dialogue you've written, and it's really good stuff. So I'm
you get the Santa and like, oh, is it really Santa? Like my favorite, my favorite trope of all time, starting from Full House. In the 80s when Santa left the building. That was the first. I think that was the first of that trope ever, maybe.
Wow, rub it in, Dan. Rub it in.
I love it. Okay. Okay, so we're up to number 7 here. Before Dan shares his choice for number 7, Erinbeth, you have any thoughts so far? Now that everyone's had one pick.
I mean, I like the Christmas Club.
Me too.
It did not make it. I mean, it didn't make my top 10, but it's very close. I think at number 12.
It was my number 12 too, actually. It was my number 12
too. The reasons perfect because it's adults being adults. I love Elizabeth Mitchell. I'm with Lynn on Cameron Matheson. Not terrible, but yeah, and they're in another movie together. I think they do, and I like the other movie for that exact same reason. They were adults being adults in that one too.
Yeah, I'm on Team Christmas Club. I like that movie. All right, Dan. What do you got for number 7?
So this is tough. I think we're in a situation where the rest of this list should be pretty much all bangers, and I'm trying to pick the one that I think might not be played because I want to shout it out. So I'm going to go with Right in Front of Me. Right in Front of Me.
All right, Right in Front of Me from 2021, starring Janelle Parrish as Carly and Marco Grazzini, who we all love, as Nick. Carly, the owner of a bridal styling business, gets a second chance at romance with her college crush, but isn't sure how to impress him until her new friend Nick starts giving her advice. Soon she learns who the right man for her really is. All right, Dan, why Right in Front of Me at number 7?
So is this Marco Grazzini's first Hallmark? I'm not great
I think
with
it's
that.
his first lead. I think he's been in a
Okay.
lot of other ones. Yeah.
So we got introduced, Janelle Parrish is great. We got introduced to Marco Grazzini, who I think is just so suave and great in these movies. I think the thing for me that was a big next step in the evolution of Hallmark being an inclusive place for everyone is putting people across all different spectrums in their own cultural habitat. So like, I remember when Bill Abbott's Hallmark would be like, look, we've got people of color. They're ice fishers in Wisconsin. And you're like, no. Thanks for seeing that we have a wonderful tapestry of culture and people around us, but that's not what we're talking about. And so for me, my thing that I was trying to bang the drum for was I want to see a movie about people of color in like celebrating their culture. And I think Hallmark does this fairly regularly now. But Right in Front of Me came out, and this is a movie written by Julie, but it has this sense that with this guy and the way he's cooking and the food he's cooking and both of these characters having a distinct cultural background, it didn't feel like these two people were in a white people world. It felt like they were in a multicultural world. So we have Marco Grazzini, we have Janelle Parrish, and we have what I believe is Julie got to break a lot of glass ceilings for Hallmark with Wedding Every Weekend and some other things. But this is like a minor miracle for Hallmark. And I appreciate what this movie does. And also, and this is a big compliment because it is not true most of the time, food looked good. The food looked good in this movie.
They had, I think they had a consultant on set that was actually, I think it just worked out like that. I think it turned out one of the crew members had some kind of background in that exact kind of cooking, or some crazy coincidence happened where they got really good, solid looking food there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. So that's why I want this movie on the list. And that's why I like it at 7.
All right, Mary, what are your thoughts?
I love this. I love this movie. It's my number 7. I want to celebrate it.
Mary, are we best friends?
Oh my gosh, did we just become best friends? Yeah, I mean the same reasons that Dan just said about having characters in their own culture and not just having to adapt to mine. I love that so much. And these two actors, like their characters, and I don't know, maybe it's true of them in every movie. I'm trying to think. They're just adorable. They're just so cute together.
Cute, yeah.
Their banter was good. Their eye contact was so good. I just like it. I mean, like for the serious reasons, but it's just like I want to give it a hug.
Lynn, do you want to give it a hug?
I do want to give it a hug. So mostly because I love Marco Grazzini. Yes, he was in Hearts of the Game, which I actually think is a good movie. Betty's Bad Luck in Love, which was quirky, good fun. I love the dialogue in this movie. I love the chemistry between the two leads. The food, it did look great. But really, I just love the whole general storyline of, who doesn't want to kind of go back and think, oh, that's the person I had a crush on, in high school or college, and wonder what it would be like now. And then you bump into them. And what happens? Well, wah. Sorry to give away the plot, but I loved it.
I think the statute
really
of
loved
limitations is
Bruce
3 years.
Willis
You never know.
dead in The Sixth Sense as well. Yeah, that's true.
I know.
What?
Seriously? Yeah, I have no issue with it. It did not make my list, but it's a movie that I watch anytime that it comes on. And I do have it saved in my playlist too. So good job, Dan.
Great. So right in front of me is locked in at number 7, which brings us back to you, Lynn, for number 6. Do you have your pick ready?
I think I do have my pick ready. It is going to be Field Day.
All right, Field Day from 2023, starring Rachel Boston as Jen and Benjamin Ayers as Dan. Jen, a widower, moves back to her husband's hometown and joins the school's parent-teacher organization. She is forced to work with 2 moms from different social circles to plan her kids' elementary school field day. Lynn, why do you have Field Day at number 6?
So I tend to enjoy Rachel Boston's movies overall. She's kind of like the Jennifer Garner of Hallmark in a certain sort of light, in a certain sort of way. Initially, the first time I saw this movie, I kind of confused it with The More Love Grows, where she's blindsided by her husband wanting to separate in their marriage. This movie is not about that. This movie celebrates female friendships. It shows you the true horrors of joining the PTA for any committee volunteer that you do.
This could only have been written now that I have a child of a certain age.
Right? It's fabulous fun. I mean, Ben Ayers is fabulous. They've got great rapport. The dialogue is snappy. I loved that it focused less on the romance and more how Jen and her daughter are kind of adjusting to this new life in this new location and all of that. So you talk about adults being adults, yes, but there was also a lot of hilarity. I mean, the dialogue is really great, but there's also poignancy. I think one of the lines that really stuck with me was when Jen says, when her husband died, she says, it wasn't hard for me to leave my friends in Maine because they had already left me. They couldn't imagine what happened to me happening to them. And every time they saw me, they did. So they all just faded away. And I think there are times in our lives where sometimes our friends come in and out of our lives for different reasons. And I think that was a very truthful perspective that was thrown in the middle of all of the hilarity and everything else. It was a great balancing act between the poignancy and the humor of the film. And who doesn't want to see Ben Ayers soaking wet? I do.
All right, Mary, what are your thoughts on Field Day?
Okay, so I will say that the declaration of love at the end of this movie, I'm sorry to say, is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in my life. Not to go all Dan on you, but I didn't buy it. I didn't like it. I didn't want it. But the rest of the movie is so good. I loved it. It's at number 6 on my list too.
I'm like, what did I write? I don't remember.
Are you now my best friend? Are you my best
I think
friend?
so.
I think so. Bye, Dan.
So I love that this movie focuses on the women. It focuses on their friendship. It gets the tone of those women right. The tall friend with the curly hair. I'm so sorry. I don't know the actor's name. I actually want to be her best friend. No offense to you guys.
That's Carmel Amon, I think is how you pronounce her last name.
Right. Okay.
And David Attar plays her husband, but they're also husband and wife in real life.
That is fun.
I did not know that.
I want her in more Hallmark movies. I want more characters like this. I just really liked it. Like after I watched this movie, I went into my group chat with my friends and said, "Hey, have you guys watched this one yet? Because it's a real good one," which is high praise if you don't know.
Thank you.
So,
I'm like so funny. I'm like want to look at the script. I'm like, what did I write at the end? I don't remember.
It just came out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they barely. Yeah.
That's one thing that we hear regularly. Anytime there's a movie that takes place over a couple of weeks,
right?
And then at the end, the characters declare their love for each other instead of just kissing. There's always like they love each other. This one seemed to be. I remember that being like, oh wow, we're doing that, huh? So
it was especially egregious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
blame Santa.
Fair.
Santa did that.
That
was right.
Kate or Erinbeth, everyone has one veto left. Is that how I
That's
understand it?
correct. Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Correct.
So I don't like this movie, but I think that the top five, I can only affect the top five with my veto and with one pick. So I just can't really do anything about it. I think I do like that the movie really is more about the three friends, like the three girlfriends. And I feel like it almost would have been better if Ben Ayers is this hunk who's helping out, who they don't really need, but I know you have to have a love interest. That's not
It
on
kind of
Julie.
always was. I'll have to say it was meant to be a friendship movie. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
you know, once you get through development, it's sort of like, well, we got to we got to have that romance. It just is what, you know, like that's just the thing, you know,
Yeah.
it's just kind of the thing
of
people
course.
need.
And,
So
and so
I mean,
that
it was conceived as a friendship movie. I'll put it that way.
And I think that, you know, that part feels a little forced to me. It looks like everyone is freezing outside throughout this movie, like so cold. And it's like, I've participated in a lot of field days as a teacher, as a student. My kids do them now. They're the bane of my existence. But one thing it
Yes.
typically isn't is 20 degrees outside. And so I know there's nothing you can do about that. It's just like, I would have liked to hang out with these three ladies, hanging out and figuring out life and what it means in this stage of adulthood and parenthood and all that stuff. But the movie kind of is hijacked, and it is not my thing. I can't do anything about it. This movie should have been a fall movie. It wasn't a fall, or what was it supposed to be?
A fall movie.
It's
It
a
was.
fall
Okay,
movie.
yeah. It was a fall movie that clearly took place when they had to color correct everything in post. It's fine. There are worse movies. We are definitely leaving out at least one movie that I think is expertly written by Julie, and that is unfortunate. And I hope that's the only one we leave off, because I can live with that one. The next five I feel like really have to be on here, and I'm saving my veto in case somebody does something crazy. So looks like field days on this list.
All right.
Mary and
good.
I are happy. Yeah, we're happy.
The moms, I'm telling you, Dan, the moms love it.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
telling you
it's
what. I'll tell
evident.
you what.
Yeah.
Like
Fair.
you're not getting the same experience as the dad. I'm telling you.
It's
Those
fair.
are real
No.
people. Those are real
I
life
will-
people. Trust me.
I will 100% admit that was not made for me.
No.
There's easy.
Mary, you are up next. Let's hear what your number 5 pick is going to be.
Okay, I am picking Wedding Every Weekend.
Here we go. Wedding Every Weekend from 2020, starring Kimberly Sustad as Brooke and Paul Campbell as Nate. During wedding season, strangers Brooke and Nate are each attending 4 weddings on 4 consecutive weeks. Neither has a +1. Brooke has a recent breakup, and Nate is still recovering from his last long-term relationship. Brooke and Nate recognize each other from a few somewhat awkward encounters, and by the end of the second wedding, they have agreed to be wedding buddies. As they see each other at subsequent weddings, they start to spend time together, they start to fall for each other, and neither realizes how the other feels. Mary, why Wedding Every Weekend at number 5?
Okay, so it seems wild today that this was so groundbreaking, but it was. It was. And I am really grateful for that. I appreciate that so much. And so I think it has to be on the list because it's a big deal. I also like the I guess it's a trope of the, couple meeting at multiple points. I think that's fun. I think that Paul Campbell and Kimberly Sustad are great together. I really enjoy them. Some feelings about Paul Campbell aside, historically, I have really liked him because he's sarcastic and grouchy, and I find that funny.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite people to write for because that is my general way of being in my life, is sarcastic and grouchy.
Perfect. Yes, that may be why I connect with him as well. I did think that the misunderstanding at the end of this movie is super silly. And
as they generally can be, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I can feel in my body how I felt when this movie was being advertised and then watching it, and it was exciting. And we needed some of that in 2020. And yeah, I just think we can't not have this on the list.
I remember this being the first one that they shot like during COVID, and like when they came back and how exciting it was, like, hey, we got a new movie that wasn't like a Johnson production from Canada or something. Like it was pretty
Ooh.
exciting. So I agree with that. Oh, sorry, Shannon, I said that.
No. I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
So yeah, no, I remember this one feeling like special in 2020 as well. So Lynn, what are your thoughts on Wedding Every Weekend?
So that's actually number 4 on my list. So I don't have a problem with this at number 5. Paul Campbell, sarcastic, grouchy, but also charming. One of my favorite Hallmark movies that he's in is Surprised by Love. Who doesn't adore that movie? That's so great.
My
Tim
number one top
Conway.
favorite.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
I haven't
Ooh.
either. Who wrote it?
I'll look it up while you're talking.
Look it up, but it's got
Oh,
it's
God.
got I think it's Hillary Burton, Paul
Yeah.
Campbell, and Tim Conway makes an appearance as the grandfather who
seen
doesn't talk at all, but then ends up talking, and it's hilarious. It's really good.
Fantastic.
It's a romp. It's a romp. Total romp. For this one, there's a great ensemble cast. They have a really easy chemistry and vibe together. Lots of snappy dialogue. She's having the summer of Brooke, which is probably just as fun as the summer of Balls, I'm guessing. Inside baseball there. And there's like what Mary was alluding to. There's some really good representation here. Like there's a lesbian wedding. How often do you see that? Did we see it before? No, it's beautifully done. I love that Hallmark was being more inclusive and more, representative in these films. And anytime Kimberly Sustad and Paul Campbell are together, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch the movie. Even I think they did a God wink, right? So I even watched a God wink one, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Wasn't it though?
It wasn't bad as far as Godwink movies
I know
go.
if you're gonna
Not as
rank
far as
it
God
out.
Wink was, because
It's
it
the
took place
best.
on Cape Cod. There was like a Cape
Yeah.
Cod vibe.
Yeah,
to
there's
it,
a
so I
there's a
was into
ferry
it.
or like it's the
Yeah.
best Godwink movie, which
It
is
is the
not
best.
a compliment.
Yeah, there you go. But I love the dialogue. The dialogue and the pairing were both like spot on, because sometimes you get a great script, but the two leads aren't necessarily my favorite. And this one, everything worked.
That does
So,
happen.
Yeah,
So
good
I
job,
love-
Julie.
It's never my fault. It's only the actor.
That's right.
I looked at Surprised by Love was written by the Dabrowskis, who actually they've written a lot of older ones that I really like. Yeah.
Tons. Yeah.
All right. So Dan, what are your thoughts on Wedding Every Weekend?
So I'm going to begrudgingly keep this here. I have it at number 8 on my list. My problem is I think as soon as Field Day was at 6, which I would have like just begging for, just pleading like, man, if Wedding Every Weekend can be number 6, we can really get this right, in my opinion. But the two things I remember about this movie are the history of it all and the COVID of it all. So the movie, I remember like how big a deal it was, because I remember we were on the very outskirts of this backlash, but our celebration of this, we get messages, not like Hallmark does, but we get messages monthly of people who are mad. You guys claim to be Christians and you blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I have to set some bigots straight as best I can. But I remember that vividly, like viscerally, like when this movie came out and us celebrating this movie. But I also remember the COVID of it all. The movie relies heavily on the fact that Paul Campbell and Kim Sustad are charming, and they have been given great dialogue. And I'm not saying this because of who's in the Zoom chat with us, because there's not a lot else. The COVID here is strong, gang. Like there are people like 10 feet apart from each other at a wedding. Like it is sparse out there. And so I remember watching it and loving the history of it, loving the leads, but feeling like I was watching a movie through a few filters. And so I wanted it on the list because the dialogue is good. They let Julie have a little bit more rope with the dialogue, and the leads are good. And then the history of it is vital. It needs to be on the list. But I don't think the movie as a whole, I think I remember the movie more because of the history and the COVID, not because of how amazing a movie it is. And I think there are 5 on this list that are all great movies. And now one of them is not going to be on the list at all. And as someone who you guys think I hate all these movies, when I love these movies, like I really want to champion them. And I'm going to be honest, I'm looking at these 5 movies that I have written down, knowing one of them is not going to be on there is killer. And I get the feeling it's probably going to be more like 2 or 3 that aren't going to be on there. And so that's tough. It's tough, but this needs to be here. So, and I only have 1 veto. Not much I can do.
All right, so Wedding Every Weekend is locked in at number 5, and we are up to the number 4 pick, and that is back to Lynn. Lynn, what have you got for number 4?
So I'm on the same page as Dan. I had 6 Austin absolutes, and I already know that a couple of them aren't going to be on here because one of them was already vetoed by a certain someone. Let's mention his name, Daniel.
You haven't used my veto yet. I haven't used my veto yet. Mary vetoed it.
Mary.
Oh, Mary.
Right.
Mary, my
Yeah.
best friend, Mary. Okay, all right.
Betrayed.
We were friends at 6.
Sorry, she's going to
enemies
take
at
away
8.
that she's good too.
This
Take
is
it away.
incredibly difficult, but I'm going to play my heart, and I'm going to let you know that my top 10 was based on. I don't listen to the guys' podcast again to figure out who liked what whenever any of them are on the show. I don't do that. I play my heart, and my meter is very simple. Would I watch this movie again? Have I watched it multiple times? That's my barometer. That's my only measurement gauge in this. So with that said, I'm going to play at number 4, The Birthday Wish.
All right, The Birthday Wish is from 2017, and it stars Jesse Schramm as Gwen. I know that's one of Lynn's favorites, and Luke McFarlane as Dave. Gwen is a creative director who gets paired with Dave to do a series of commercials, and she's not thrilled about this. In her personal life, Gwen desperately wants to be engaged by the time she's 30. She's been dating her boyfriend, Alex, an image-conscious weatherman, for 3 years, and this is her expectation. It's time. When her birthday rolls around and Alex doesn't propose, she wishes for the opportunity to see into the future with surprise results. So this is another entry into the Marcus Rosner Baxter Hall of Fame. Lynn, why do you have this movie at number 4?
Yeah, so this is not going to be any surprise to Dan, I'm sure, because Dan knows how much I love time travel, sliding door movies. And this one is hilarious. The dialogue is hilarious. The chemistry between Jesse Schramm and Luke McFarlane is great. The scenarios, her visions just crack me up every single time. I mean, they've got really good comedic timing. Marcus Rosner is, first of all, the best human ever, as we recently experienced at Bramblefest. This guy is down to clown, down for anything. He's great, but he's also the best Baxter. I actually love him more as a Baxter than a leading man.
He is. I know. I want to give him the lead, but damn it, he's good at the other way. Yeah.
So good. And as a smarmy weatherman who is just all about me, it's like, wow, can you be any worse of a human being and worse of a boyfriend? But it all works somehow. This is probably in my top 20 Hallmark movies of all time. And it's not because it's the greatest script in the world, but the humor is there, the dialogue is there, and the rapport is there between the two leads. So it's not adults acting adult or speaking like adults. It's just fun, romantic escapism. And that's why I love it. And I hope it stays at number 4. Because in the Luke McFarlane draft, which was the 3rd show that we ever did here for this podcast, this was number 3 on the final list. So I know I am not
In the
alone.
time loop draft, it was there.
No, you guys, I think you guys colluded, because almost every movie on that final list, which among you, Bran and Brian. Oh, yeah, I always forget him.
Easy to forget. Yeah.
Bran and Brian was a Christmas movie, which this is not. So anyway, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. Do what you will, people. Do what you will.
All right, Mary, are you and Lynn still going to be best friends?
Oof. I I do like this movie. I haven't watched it for a really long time, but I remember liking it. I like Jesse Schramm, obviously, Luke McFarlane. Oh, gosh. Um, I'm confused by how we got here
Yeah, Mary, you're
because
right.
like I have four, like the top four movies are the top four movies. They do not include this
Correct.
one. And there's a fifth that I know everyone else really loved. I didn't, but
Yeah, I have six. Like I said, I have six Austin absolutes. So my top three are not negotiable. And I already know that, it's not going to happen for one of them at least.
I but I know Dan has a veto, and I want to keep a veto
Strategery.
because
I want to keep a veto too, Mary.
I know, but I feel
Mary, I think you and I think we've done this enough to where you and I have the same number one. I do feel very confident in that. Because of the dialogue that you and I have had, and because I listened to you on a different draft as well, I get the feeling we have the same number one. But the next three, apparently, this is going to be way more. This is just going to be something.
I'm gonna stand down. I'm gonna force Dan's hand.
All right, Dan. What are we doing?
I need to say first off, this movie is just not memorable to me. It is not a movie that does anything. And I got to be honest, I've never thought Jesse Schramm was bad ever. But after watching this, I looked up her Hallmark movies, and it turns out that I just have never like really been a fan of any of them. Road to Christmas was the only one that I thought was like passable, but I still wasn't huge on this. So like, I don't know.
What about the one where she saves the pumpkin farm by creating the pumpkin face cream that then earns them money?
That's an amazing. Come on, Lynn. I don't. This movie is not one of my favorite time loops. I have a.
Do the right thing, Dan. Do the right thing.
I think Luke McFarlane in the actually taking a shot at love is probably a good benchmark. I think from that point forward, what he you see if you've watched that show, I can't believe the show where he's the husband now. I watched it.
Oh yeah,
I think it was
Apple.
on Apple TV.
It's on Apple TV, yeah.
If you watch that show and you watched Bros, you know this guy can act. Like he's a very dynamic, unbelievable actor. I think pre-taking a shot at love, Luke McFarlane was kind of going through the motions, and that's an opinion. I've talked to that guy numerous times. He's a sweet dude. I love him, but his performances weren't super duper dynamic to me early on. This is not one of my favorite movies. My problem here is not vetoing this movie. I'm leaning towards vetoing this movie because I think we're getting to the point where we can't guys, what are we doing? The writer is here. There are 5 movies that are just need to be talked about. Yes. I didn't text Julie after all these movies, and they need to be mentioned. And the fact that we're here at 4 talking about a freaking Schramm McFarlane time loop movie
which is a baller of a movie.
No,
this is very interesting. This is so interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the thing is that there is one movie that I absolutely at all costs don't want on this list. I don't think it's going to be played. I've not tipped my hand. It is not something you would expect from me. You don't know which movie it is. I don't think there's any strategy here. I'm letting you know that I've been saving my veto for that one movie that I am very passionately anti being on this list. Having said that, we're in the top 4. I want to see these really great movies on this list. I'm going to veto. The Birthday Wish.
Oh, thank goodness.
The Birthday Wish has been vetoed, and I quickly want to shout out that show. It's called Platonic. I looked it up.
Platonic,
yes, it was great.
Platonic,
and also, Luke McFarlane was on an episode of Hacks this season, playing a movie star.
Yeah,
and it was a Shoe Addicts Christmas reunion. He had a nice scene with Gene Smart. It was amazing. So,
gosh, Hacks is an amazing show. It's so good.
I love Luke McFarlane. I'm sorry to see this movie go, but Lynn can still bring it back. So.
Try
I can edit the show.
That's true.
Make it number one. So I don't, screw bringing it back. I'll just, do what I want. All right. Let's see. This is this is tough.
She's just doing a lot of dead air, so she has good places to edit, guys. I just know that's what
Sorry. All right. I will just say that any one of these could be number one, could be number two.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that it gets on the list. And I'm worried that if I play this one of my other ones will not get played. So, A Dickens of a Holiday.
Dickens of a Holiday 2021, starring Brooke Dorsey as Cassie and Christopher Palaha as Jake. To make the 100th anniversary of her hometown's Victorian Festival a success, Cassie invites action movie star and former high school classmate Jake to play in A Christmas Carol. Cassie and Jake lock horns over the play and old feelings stir. Why Dickens of a Holiday at number 3, Lynn?
Dickens of a Holiday, because all three things that are important to me come together in this movie. The script is a banger. The two leads have great chemistry, and their delivery on the script is, I think, excellent. I love Brooke Dorsey. I think her pairing with Chris Palaha is great. Chris does an incredible performance. I love the A Christmas Carol storyline that seems to be very popular in Hallmark movies, especially We're Going to Put on a Play. But he does it really, really well. I think.
Yeah, I've never seen that. Was some great acting of just the Shakespeare stuff that I had nothing to do with. That Shakespeare guy's pretty good.
Yeah,
he's a pretty good writer.
Decent writer.
He's all right. He's all right.
He's going places.
Was that included in your original script? Was that scene included in your original script?
I mean, it was a rewrite, but it was a page 1 rewrite. So, I mean, there was always, I would say, leaning too much on the Shakespeare almost in a way, like in the original, like where it was like too dependent on that. And then not having enough room to tell the actual story of the Hallmark script. But it was necessary to really pick and choose which scenes would have more meaning, for the story overall and for him to do, and that made a difference with the story between the two leads and all that stuff. So it was hard to choose really which ones to do.
Yeah. He's just like, tapping into his inner Jimmy Stewart. I mean, it was just...
Yeah, it was really something.
It's a great film. I could easily have played this a little bit higher up on the list, but, there's, like I said, I've got 6 that are probably not going to make it, so I chose to do A Dickens of a Holiday here. And this was actually ranked first on the Chris Palaha draft that we did, I don't know.
I think with a different actor, it might not have... Yeah, it was really dependent on him to do that, what he did. Yeah. It was great.
It was good. So there you have it.
All right, Mary, is this one staying at number 4?
Mary's left in protest.
Mary.
She left in protest.
Yeah.
Like,
there she is. She's back.
Sorry. I left to talk to a child. Yes. Yeah. I'm going to keep it here. I did really enjoy this movie. Christopher Palaha is excellent in this movie. I really like Brooke Dorsey. I feel like she doesn't get the greatest movies, so I love that she got this one. I mean, that scene where he is super emotional, we don't see that in Hallmark movies. It's good for me.
Great. Well, this is locked in because Dan doesn't have any more vetoes, but Dan, what are your thoughts on this movie?
Thrilled with my veto. Thrilled with my veto. This is number 2 on my list. I was planning on playing it at number 3 just to make sure it got on the list. I also think it's nice to spotlight this side of Julie Sherman Wolfe, Julie the Fixer. Julie gets to write her own movies, but she also has to come in when the scripts suck and do the best that she can with what she's given. And boy, did she do it with this movie. And I got to be honest, yes, Chris is amazing. Brooke Dorsey, amazing in this movie. However, this movie has a lot of tropes that if you told me the tropes, I was like, Chris and Brooke can't fix it. Like they can't. Like the Christmas Carol trope, can we not anymore? The movie star comes back to their hometown. Those things typically don't work, but they work here because of a combination of the dialogue and the actors. This is really well done. It's just well done across the board. You feel that he's the right amount of famous in this movie. You feel that he gets the right amount of attention for being a movie star. There's that fun scene early on where he has a catchphrase, like an actual catchphrase in this movie, which like these are the things that movie stars would actually have. That just doesn't happen on Hallmark. So thrilled this is here. It's 2 on my list, but since all of these bangers aren't going to be on here, not just can't tell you how excited I am. We got it right, and it's not a time loop movie from 2015. So fantastic.
Which could be played at number 2.
It could be played too. That's true. That's true. Certainly could.
All right. Well, before we get to that wild number 2 choice that we never know what Lynn's going to drop, let's see what Dan's last pick is at number 3.
My last pick, number 3, is Hanukkah on Rye. Hanukkah on Rye.
Hanukkah on Rye is from 2022. It stars Jeremy Jordan as Jacob and Yael Groblas as Molly. I don't know if I said that right. And also one of my all-time favorite 90s pop stars, Lisa Loeb, as Natalie. A matchmaker connects Molly and Jacob, but their new romance is put to the test when they realize that they are competing deli owners. Will a Hanukkah miracle keep them together? Dan?
Did I write that synopsis?
So this, this movie came a few years after we started to have what I would call a smattering of tangentially Jewish films for Hallmark. It was like
Jewish.
Yes, yeah, ish. That's right. These movies.
There's a hyphen in there.
Yeah,
we would legitimately be like, I am Gentile. Tell me about your Hanukkah, and it was the worst.
Tell me about this strange holiday I've never heard of.
Yeah. And I also know, because I've had the opportunity to talk to Nina as well, that was less about the writing and more about Hallmark, wanting it to look and sound a certain way to appeal to their throngs of people that don't want to talk about Hanukkah. This movie is like it. Like, I'm not Jewish, but I adored the fact that this movie, if you were Jewish and were watching this movie, I could see how I could empathize with the plight of wanting actual representation and a fun, silly, preposterous holiday movie that's made for you. This is it. Jeremy Jordan, kid crushes it. Mix up in the Mediterranean.
Oh my God, but he's he's everything. I love him so much.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. Yael Grobglas, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. She's amazing in this movie.
Close enough.
Shout out to Paula Shaw, who is always a star in these movies. She gets to be a little extra page wrinkly here in this movie. She
National
is
treasure, Paula Shaw.
Yeah. The whole idea of this movie is crazy, and it is madcap, and it's screwball comedy, and it's everything it should have been because of the woman that's in the Zoom chat with us right now. This deserves this place on this list. Quality stuff, Julie.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mary, do you agree?
I love this movie. I have it very high on my list. I am so glad that Dan played it. Everything that's already been said. I do also want to give a specific shout out to the doorman in the apartment.
Right? Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously?
Yes.
I actually wrote to him after the movie. I'm like, dude, you stole the movie. Like, that was unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. I want to have a whole movie of him. He's like some random Canadian dude. I don't even know. Like, it was so good. I loved him so much.
Yeah. His reactions. Yeah, he was very good. But the whole movie, loved it. I'm not sure I have watched it again since it came out, but I really want to. And when I was working on preparing, my 10-year-old daughter is my my Hallmark movie watching companion, and she was like, "Mom, I haven't watched this one yet." So it will be it will be on our television.
They'll throw it back on, unfortunately Hanukkah's late this year, so it's only going to be on probably like for a week, maybe.
Right.
Because I think it's late. I think Hanukkah's late.
Oh.
Or on Thanksgiving. You never know. Just never know when Hanukkah's going to be.
All right. So we're leaving it, right, Mary? After all of that, yes. Lynn, you're the last one. You have a veto. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I do have a veto. But this is number 3 on my list as well.
Yay!
So I think we can be friends again.
I love it. I love this energy right now. This is good stuff.
This is such good stuff because we haven't gotten to my number 2. But,
yeah, I know.
Paula Shore. Yeah,
Pauly
Shore's mother. God, help us all. Paula Shore.
Hanukkah, buddies.
National treasure.
Quit wheezing the joke.
Seriously.
Hanukkah.
Thomas the Doorman. I want a movie just about New York City doormen. Please write one, Julie. Please write one.
I will try. It is. Yeah, Thomas. I actually forgot about him until right now. Like, I love him. Yeah. So good. Just so good. I love, the whole vibe. Smart, snappy banter galore, which is my jam. Lisa Loeb sings a Hanukkah song. How can you not go wrong with that? I adore.
Has to stay, right?
Maybe. I adore Jeremy Jordan. Please hear me very clearly, Dan, when I say in this movie, I'm looking right at you. He reminds me so much of my boy, Sam Page, that I just couldn't help but fall in love with him.
I get so sad when I have all these Broadway. I swear to God, I've had more Broadway people in my movies than anybody, and they never sing. It drives me crazy. I've had everybody. I've had Derek Lena, Aaron Tveit, Vicki Clark, Jeremy Jordan, Laura Osnes. Like, it's insane the amount of people.
Yes. So it's great. This reminds me of one of my favorite old movies, The Shop Around the Corner, in terms of the whole letter writing and one of the letter writers finding out before the other who the actual identity is.
There was definitely an homage to that in there.
A little thing,
that's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites.
The food galore. It's fantastic, even though I didn't get the trivia question correct. Also,
my movies are extremely food heavy. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Like,
love that. We have a food forward draft actually coming up it's October or November. I can't remember which, a couple of months from now. Anyway, this movie also brought back memories for me because coming up from Princeton up to New Hampshire every summer for the summer, we would always stop at Ryan's Deli, which is off of, I think, Route 84.
That's literally the only place we go, Lynn.
Yes.
That's where we go because that's the only place anywhere near us in Connecticut that's decent. Gosh. I was just there last week. I swear to God. It's so funny.
I'm so jealous. They have the best rye bread. They have the best sandwiches.
They do. We go all the time.
They have the best pickles that you can imagine.
And they make their ranch dressing in-house, which is very, very important to me.
Make their ranch dressing in-house. I didn't even mind it. I didn't even mind it when, just a quick aside, I had to go down to Princeton for a funeral a couple of years ago. I picked up my uncle on the way, who just happened to be in Massachusetts at the time, and we stopped at Ryan's, and God help me, he ordered a liverwurst and onion sandwich on rye for the ride and ate it in the car. You have no idea how it stunk for another $5.
Oh my God.
But it was Ryan's and I didn't care. So it was okay. I am absolutely not vetoing this at all. I just think it's a perfect movie. The food forward draft is in October. I just remembered. So good choice. I love it.
Love it.
All right, great. Hanukkah on Rye is locked in at number 3. For number 2, Lynn, let's hear what your last pick is. Erinbeth, I can see you're already worried.
Hey, I'm hanging by a moment here.
Oh,
all right.
I more like anticipation of what it's going to be.
I have no idea what this is. I mean, I think I might.
Well, there's an obvious correct answer here.
There is an obvious correct answer. I don't know that Lynn's going to give it to us.
Yeah.
You know what? I will do the right thing because when it comes time to reveal my personal list of my 1 and 2, I will have a chance to talk about these movies. So while I would love to play Hello, It's Me or The Birthday Wish, I will not do that. I will not do that. I will do the right thing, and I am going to play. Oh man, it's so tough. It's so tough. I think I know what the number one is going to be, so I'm going to play this one. I'm going to play One Royal Holiday.
Well, thank God.
Thank you.
And they're only
appreciate it.
saying that, Kate and Erinbeth are only saying that because they've seen my personal 1 and
Yeah.
2. So you're welcome, people.
You took one for the team, Lynn, and
Taking one for the team.
we fill it, and we
Wow.
love you for it.
Wow. Lynn, above and beyond here, it sounds
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
You have no
Oh,
idea.
yes. You have no idea.
Really? Man,
have
you
no
know how
idea.
much I love chaos. I'm thrilled.
You would not be happy. You would not be happy, but I would be happy. So
One Royal Holiday is from 2020. Stars Laura Osnes as Anna, Erinbeth as James. When Anna offers a stranded mother and son shelter in a blizzard, she learns that they are the royal family of Galwick. Anna shows the prince how they do Christmas in her hometown, encouraging him to open his heart and be true to himself. She offers him a chocolate eclair that she's trying, but he declines because she's a stranger. I don't know why that sentence is in here, but it is, because it's a very important moment in the movie. But Julie, you said none of your Broadway stars sang, and they do sing a little lovely Christmas song in this
that
movie.
doesn't count. That doesn't
Okay.
count. That's not real. That's like a second of a Christmas Carol kind of.
Well, you're
For
gonna
a
hear
second.
like Laura Osnes' Disney princess voice for a second.
For
there,
1
so,
second. Yeah.
But all right, Lynn, why One Royal Holiday at number 2?
I played it at number 2 out of love and respect for my fellow drafters, because this list is to represent us all. This is actually my number 5, but who doesn't love a meet cute that starts with an offer of a free donut? I believe that is how you and Panda met, Dan, over the free
Oh,
donut.
for sure. Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
of
so.
course.
I think so.
Listen, donuts are an important part of my life. Okay.
Exactly, as they should be. I love a movie with a prince from a fake country. Sign me up all day, any day.
Can I get like, at least I didn't do anything Ovia?
Oh yeah, Galway.
Points to you.
Like, I really worked really hard on that. I have to say, like, it's not being anything Ovia at the end of the country. I was very proud of myself.
And he played it, the lead actor, who was it? Aaron
Erinbeth.
Yeah. So he played it stiff and narrow, and that is exactly what this movie needed. Laura Osnes is charming and delightful. The girl can sing. You know, all the Broadway stars that are in this are
So many.
too many to name. My head was like ready to explode, in a good way. The snappy dialogue, the queen is freaking hilarious.
She's awesome.
Lots of great delivery, lots of winter vibes, lots of Christmas vibes. I mean, this is one that I watch every year. I think it's fantastic. I think I love the ending. I don't want to spoil it by talking about it, but I love the way that this movie ended. And I think this one was filmed in Connecticut, Julie, right?
Yes,
So
right. That was Wedding Every Weekend was the first one out of COVID, and this was the second one out of COVID.
So did you have anything to do with it because you were the writer, or how did that work?
As far as what, just being in Connecticut?
Being in Connecticut. Yeah.
Not really, but I know those guys. I know the producers really pretty well. It just really worked out that they were able to produce it. It's sort of always a timing thing. I would have wanted to be on set more, but because of COVID, I was only allowed to go on like one day, which was such a bummer. But I mean, I can talk about it later, but this is one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I love it. This is a great movie, perfect movie. So there you have it. Number 2.
All right, Mary, what are your thoughts on One Royal Holiday?
Oh my
Well,
God.
I mean, we probably do need to talk about the fact that it is full of Broadway actors and they don't sing. Like, the
I can tell you
frustration
why.
that is, I Like as a viewer, it's like, oh my gosh, look at all these people. They're gonna sing for us, and they did not.
That's because they were available, because Broadway was dark, and they
Right.
are really, really, really good actors. And we, obviously we couldn't like change too much of the script to all of a sudden how is the Queen, how is everybody in this world such an amazing singer? I wish we could have, but it just was really big. It was really casting for actors and not singers, unfortunately. But
I guess that's fair to them, like that they get to show off their acting chops.
and they wanted to, like, they were happy to get to just be actors and not
Yeah.
stage.
No, I'm really just
stage singers.
I'm just giving Lynn a hard time by trying to come up with something bad about the movie. Although, like, I could have started with Aaron's hair.
His hair. I was gonna say that would be my answer. The hair.
It's so
The hair.
bad. It's so bad. And honestly, like when the main actors have bad hair, I it's hard for me to overcome it. But in this movie, I 100% did. I'm not vetoing this movie. I love this movie. It is a rewatch for me. Yeah, everyone in this movie is fantastic. I love the security guard and the mayor, that side story.
Do you know that he is a very famous Peloton instructor?
Oh,
He's a British guy.
Oh, really?
Kidding.
That's funny.
Bradley Rose. Yep.
Yep. I can see being motivated on a Peloton.
I have friends that were like big fans of his. I'm like, oh, let me just text him for you. And I got like the most street cred ever when I could like produce Bradley Rose. That's on the text.
That's amazing. That's amazing. My favorite scene in this movie is when they are finding out if the roads have opened yet, and they're coming
yeah.
down the
That's cute.
stairs, and
That's
then
the
they're all
best.
like pretending like it's, they're so sad that they can't leave because none of them want to leave. I love that so much. So well written, so well done. Yeah, no, I love this movie. I'm so glad it's on the list.
All right, Dan, what do you think of One Royal Holiday?
Yeah, this is actually number 5 on my list too, Lynn. But 2 and 3 have already been played. So thrilled that it's here at 2. I was on the Hallmark Movie Drafts episode of the Royal movies. I've seen every Hallmark Royal movie that's ever been made, and I can tell you most of them suck. They're not good. And what makes this movie so great is that great care is taken to turn a lot of those things, even down to the name of the country, on their head. And that makes this movie fun. It also contains one of the best comedy set pieces Hallmark has ever put on film, with the scene on the staircase. If you take Three Wise Men and a Baby out, which is just comedy set pieces, that movie really shouldn't have had love interest. It really is just a set piece to set piece movie. If you take that movie out, literally, I don't think there is a comedy set piece. I can think of maybe one other that would even be in contention with this scene. It's perfect. The way it's written,
Thank you, Dan.
the way it's acted, and it also is this shout out that Hallmark's doing something new. Like, listen, it's not a scene. Bill Abbott he told me straight up, we don't want to be funny. Like, we don't want people to be laughing out loud. They can kind of chuckle if something's cute or whatever, but we don't want to be funny. It very clearly, floodgates have opened. Who better to lead the way than somebody that knows how to do this? This is funny. This movie's funny. They're not in this foreign country where everyone happens to speak with a British accent, even though they're not British. This is what I want from a royal movie. Absolutely deservedly on this list. I had it at 5, not mad at 2 though. Absolutely. Good, really good pick.
Yeah, it was my 5 too, but I played it at 2 for y'all. So.
God bless you.
Hey, can I give a shout out in this movie to Laura Austin's dress at the end that's got pockets?
Yes.
It has
Please.
Pockets.
Her wardrobe in this movie is amazing, like beginning to end.
Pretty.
Yeah.
My favorite little line, like acting moment, was when Vicky Clark said, "It's shoes."
Yeah.
in the trunk. Like, that
Yes.
made me laugh.
Right.
So the way she just did it made me laugh so hard when I saw it. Like, just like, she's so good. I love her.
Yeah, she was
I will
great.
always watch this movie. Like,
Always,
I don't
me
care what
too.
time of year. If I see it, it's like, yep, I'm gonna watch that. Good movie.
All right. It's time, guys. We're up to number 1. Mary, what have
Mary,
you got
come
for
on.
us?
Now's the time.
I feel really nervous because Dan said that he knows I'm going to do the right thing.
I feel really confident about it, but I'm starting to be less so.
I can't
I
even
did
imagine.
the
I have
right
no idea what you
thing.
guys are thinking.
I did the
Oh my
right
gosh.
thing.
Well, listen, I'm going to pick what I'm going to pick.
Now here comes the
This
Enneagram
movie-
coming out.
So,
Harry.
so there's a movie that everyone loves that I did not.
Maybe that's, oh no,
don't-
maybe
I
I've
don't
flipped
think
it.
Dan loved it. There's too many wait whats. The movie I'm going to pick is my number one.
Okay, so maybe I'm wrong on this altogether. I think maybe you don't like this movie and I
Oh, no.
misremembered.
Oh
Go ahead.
no. I hope we can be friends after this. I'm picking Holiday
no.
Hotline.
Yeah, yes.
Really?
Yes!
Veto.
Oh, wow.
Oh my
son of a-
goodness. Lynn, what could possibly be better than this movie?
I know, I'm shocked as well.
Dan, I did not know you had strong feelings about Holiday Hotline, or
Holiday Hotline-
anybody did.
Holiday Hotline's a masterpiece.
I had
It's
no idea.
wonderful.
No, it is not. It is a split screen, is what it is.
Oh,
Oh my
Are you
gosh.
kidding me?
No.
Are you kidding?
No.
Gosh.
Are you kidding? There is an obvious number one here. Obvious.
Oh,
This is absurd. This
You are
is
going to make me pull
patently
a Ryan
absurd.
Harold, and I will never forgive you.
This is unbelievable. This
Mary.
is unbelievable.
yeah. Before we move off Holiday Hotline, I do want to ask Julie. I know that this was co-written by Dwayne Pohl, who was
Yes.
like an epic Hallmark writer, and he
All
passed
right,
away before this came out.
I'll withdraw my veto. Don't have any more discussion. I'll withdraw my veto since no decision has been made. I'll withdraw it.
No,
But
no,
I will
no.
just say you're wrong. You are so
no.
wrong.
You have a
You
veto,
vetoed
Lynn.
it.
Use the veto. Use
No.
it. This is what makes it fun.
Hey, it's your podcast. You can do whatever you want.
I'll
That's
do
right.
whatever I want. So you guys, you think this is right for the list, that's fine. But I will tell you,
No.
I will tell you what I think the number one should have been. And it's not even
Well, I
the
mean-
number one that I played.
Hey,
that I
Can
put
I
on my
just
list.
ask a question without naming any names, Lynn?
Yeah.
If you veto this at one, do
Mhm.
you think that her replacement movie is going to be your number one?
No, my personal number
Fine.
one? No way in
Yeah.
hell is she picking my
Okay.
number one and my number two.
Well,
It would be my
what-
number 10. It would be my number 10, but it was only my number 10 on my personal
Mhm.
list. And Aaron, Beth, and Kate know what I'm talking about because they've seen my list, as they've seen all of our lists. The only reason it was number 10 was because of how I told you what my barometer is for
Let's wait a minute.
measurement.
Let's just. I think, Lynn, if you want to play the veto, that's fine. But let's go in order. I want to hear Mary rave about it, and then it'll be your turn. I think if
Okay.
you want to play it, that's the game.
All
Play
right.
it.
Go ahead, Mary.
I am shaken.
We wrote it down. I literally
We
already
can't
wrote
even
it
talk
down.
about it now.
I
Yeah.
was that certain. I wrote it down
Yeah.
before you said it.
Okay. I love this movie. I love that it did something different. It was like real movie territory with a split
Mhm.
screen. I think the lead actress is adorable. And I read some critique about her accents, and I just don't care
Yep.
because I don't have those ears.
That
I
critique
mean,
was for me.
yeah, I don't even care. I thought she did 2 accents and they were great.
Mhm.
I thought Niall Mater's not always my favorite, but I thought he was really good in this movie. There was turkey and kitchens, and it was really good.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, so that's what I want to ask about.
Ah,
I want to ask about Dwayne Pohl, though, who's like just this epic Hallmark writer who passed away before this came out. How was the collaboration there, or how did you come into this movie?
Well, he had written the outline.
Mhm.
We had the producer Joey Plager was a good friend of his, and I was not involved until so he passed after he'd written the outline.
Mhm.
And it was sort of midway. It wasn't quite done. That wasn't really quite done either. And Joey, I was very honored because he trusted me to keep it, keep the spirit of it alive. And, I still had to, obviously do the work on and make it into that movie. But the spirit of the story and everything came from Dwayne. And, I felt a really, really strong responsibility to more than other rewrites, really stay as close to his what I think he envisioned as I could. Outlines are not scripts. It's hard to get it exactly how you think that he might have wanted it, but I tried the best I could to get it to where I think he would have been happy with it. That was just really important to me. I didn't know him, but he was just beloved. I didn't know him personally, but people really loved him a lot. And, that was just something I took really seriously. And it was right around the strike, so it was just sort of, there's a lot going on. It was a very emotional thing to do, to try and get done. Once the strike was I guess it was after, to get it done and get it ready in time.
Well, it was
Now
great,
I really
and,
feel
yeah.
bad about vetoing this.
No, Lynn. No.
No, I'm going to stick to my own rules. I threw a veto, and I can tell you why. But Dan, do you want to talk about this movie first?
Yeah, I think the reason I love this at 1, even though it's going to be vetoed from what I understand, is that this movie works because of the words. This movie works because of the words. That is the thing, right? Niall is great. Emily Tennant's great. The fact that they put them in the same room when they're on the phone. Gimmick, if you want to say it, if you love it, I don't care. The words on the page come to life in this movie. There is no reason this movie should be as good as it is, but it is. And you know what else? Capable, competent child actor, Mila Volk, who you don't always get a capable, competent child actor. This movie has one. And I can't believe we've gone this long without mentioning the man, the myth, the legend, Erica Tovley, who plays the guy in charge of the call center and is
God, wasn't he great?
Yeah.
He's so crazy, oddball, weird.
That was so perfect, though. Like, I can't even, it's almost, I didn't know who it would be cast at the time, but honestly, it's almost like it was written for him, even though I didn't know it was him. It was just he was so perfect in that role.
He's unbelievable. But I think, I love Dickens of a Holiday, but we could argue if Chris isn't in that movie, maybe it steps down. I got to be honest, spin the wheel of Hallmark leads, put them in a holiday hotline. This movie slaps. It slaps because of the words, not because of the actors. That's why it's the best. It's the best by a country mile. In my opinion, obviously it's an opinion. It is Holiday Hotline, and everything else, there's not even a 1A. Like, this is it. I love this movie, and
Thanks,
it
Dan.
is what it is, but I love it. Glad I got to write
and
it.
also the most egregious product placement of all time.
Oh,
Yes.
Come on.
You got 2 of those because the Ace Hardware is in the Dickens of a Holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also had a really good green bean casserole one in.
Oh, yeah.
I know what you're
yeah.
talking
That.
about.
I cannot remember which movie it was. Shit, I don't
That's
remember.
a Christmas movie,
I
too.
don't remember. Yeah, it was a Christmas movie. It was great. It was
Yeah.
a green bean casserole movie. I just don't remember which one.
You got to pay those bills.
So- it's like we get told those sort of almost at the end too. So sometimes you just got to jam them in there, and it is what it is.
But in spite of that, it's still a great movie. So it worked.
Yeah.
Well.
Well, it's not number 1 because I vetoed it, and I vetoed
Uh-huh.
it because it did not make my top 10. It was number 15. Wow. I said, is it one of the best Niall Matter movies? Yes. And there's a Niall Matter draft coming up in 2025, but it didn't make my top 10. It's lighthearted and it is kind of fun, with the whole cooking hotline like Butterball has. The split screen makes it visually interesting, but no. I said I'd be okay if someone played this at 10, but not necessarily thrilled with it any higher, possibly 9, but I'd also be okay vetoing it. So I can't have this movie at number 1. Didn't do it.
There you have it.
All right.
That's how the game is played.
The green bean casserole was in the Christmas Club.
Yes.
All right.
There it is.
As we
Yeah.
continue,
Yeah.
now we can all let that go. Now we remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, there's only one person left with the veto, and that's Mary, and she also has the choice for number 1. So, Mary, whatever you pick here is locked
gonna
in.
be. Yep.
There's one that it's got.
Do the right thing. You do the
There's
right
one that's got to
thing.
be here.
Yep.
This
I
is
agree.
terrible.
There's
Well,
one
Holiday
obvious
Hotline
choice.
was the one.
I don't.
This is the one, Mary. You can do it.
No, I cannot believe I am being pushed into a Brian Harold corner right here. I can't.
I'm shocked. I literally wrote down Holiday Hotline before
Yeah.
you picked it. I didn't know anybody didn't like it. Literally didn't know anybody didn't like the movie. There you have it.
I like the movie. It didn't make my top 10. So
That's how the game. That's why we play the game.
that's why we
this is
play the
fun.
game. That's right.
Right.
Come on, Mary, you can do this.
Because
Okay.
I do see your list. I know this is painful for you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Because you know what I
It's
want to do,
okay.
Erinbeth? I want to play my number 9.
I mean, you'll get a point.
But
There's one movie that just qualitatively is so much better,
I know.
Mary.
I know.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
fine.
yes,
It-
but
it is-
but Lynn doesn't think that about Holiday Hotline. Like,
That's
just
true,
because
but
you think it is doesn't mean
But
Mary
no,
thinks it.
this is a movie that I don't like. The movie we're all talking about here is a movie that I think like isn't as good as some other movies we've played, but it is qualitatively all involved. It's the movie.
When you look at the spectrum of the eligible
Yeah.
movies that Julie has done, this movie has to be on this list.
Yeah.
Well, I had it on my list at number 10.
I don't know
So
what you're
fine. I guess we're gonna play a holiday spectacular.
excellent.
All right, holiday.
I was wondering. I'm like, I think that's what they're talking about. But I wasn't
Yeah.
actually sure.
It's a
That's not
convenient
even number
groom.
1 on my own list.
The Holiday Spectacular from 2022, starring Gina Claire Mason as Maggie, and of course Anne Margaret is the elder version of Maggie, and the Radio City Rockettes. In 1958, Maggie is an heiress from Philadelphia who puts her high society wedding plans on hold in order to sneak up to New York City to make her secret dream come true, dancing live on stage in the Christmas Spectacular at Radio City Music Hall. All right, Mary, I know you got kind of pushed into this one, but let's hear your thoughts on this movie.
Okay. Yes, as Dan said, qualitatively, this is head and shoulders above most of the movies on any list. I don't know budget stuff, but I would guess that a lot of money was spent on this one compared to making
A little
others.
bit.
I liked this movie. And I will say my best friend and podcast co-host when we talk about Hallmark stuff, she has been a dancer for many years and she loved the heck out of this movie. I just don't tend to like old-timey things. So I was already inclined to not love it. And then like I did like the dialogue between the girls and between the main leads it was great. I think there are questions about, I know it's not a documentary. Some of the ways that like racial issues were handled, like portrayed, like it wasn't realistic, but again, like I get it.
There was like literally no way around that, like either
No.
if you didn't do it, it'd be like people, like you're like no one,
Right.
there's no way to make everybody happy on that one. So we just
Yeah,
went with,
no, and I
the
get that. I get
modern- yeah.
That's why like I'm not actually super sad about this other than the whole fact that Holiday Hotline's not on the list. Yeah, I think it's a good movie. I know that a lot of people love it. So I guess I'm okay with it.
I'm gonna put that on my wall. I guess I'm okay with it.
Mary Carver said she was okay
That's
with
my
it.
quote. That's my favorite quote now.
Listen, Julie, I raved about a lot of other ones.
I know.
All right, so nobody has vetoes left, but Lynn, let's hear what you have to say about Holiday Spectacular.
This was number 10 on my list. I just felt really strongly that Holiday Hotline should not be number 1 because it wasn't on my list at all. But I do feel that qualitatively, as we've already said, it deserves to be on this list. When you look at Julie's current filmography, this has to be in the top 10. Does it need to be number 1? No, but that's where it ended up because we've got Finding Santa at number 10. So I blame Dan for this, people.
Well, if you
List-
vetoed that, maybe we could have gotten it at number
Listeners-
10 and Holiday
listeners, I
Hotline where it
believe-
belongs.
Send your hate letters to Dan, not to me. Unlike Mary, I was born decades too late. I love the mid-century. I love mid-century architecture. I love the clothing. I love the vibe. I love the way they talked. I am, mad woman. If there was a madman, I am mad woman. So this is right up my alley. I was predisposed to love it. How can you go wrong with Jan Brady and Viva Las Vegas Sex Kitten and Margaret in a movie? You've got the Rockettes, which I also saw growing up every Christmas. It was the thing to go into New York City, see the tree, go to Rockefeller Center, see the Rockettes. I like the storyline. I like the writing. I love the acting delivery. It needs to be on this list. I'm okay with this at number one. I was not okay with Holiday Hotline at number one. So thank you, Mary, for playing this movie.
All right. Dan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I guess I was highest on this movie of the three of us. I had it at 4 overall. I think if any movie from a dialogue perspective that Hallmark has made needed to be longer, it was this one. It's a lot of story for a very small amount of time when you're going to have Rockettes dancing.
That's why they tried to air that extended cut a couple times, but it was sort of hard to find, I didn't
catch it, but I bet you that probably helped the film. I think the degree of difficulty here is so large. The scope is so big. You're going back in time. You have Anne Margaret doing narration, which like this is like when you're writing this script, you're like, oh, okay, this is going to be. And so I do think you have to respect the degree of difficulty here. I don't think that the words are as forward and matter as much in this movie. I don't think that this movie, it has the script is more than good. It is a really solid script, but this is a movie with a full line of Rockettes, with Anne Margaret, with you're going back in time and there's this full circle elements where she's talking to her grandkid. That part of this movie, the scope of this movie is so big, and Hallmark doesn't typically make movies with scopes that big. And so I respect the hell out of it. It's on number 4 on my list, and I think it was one of these non-negotiable movies. But it's a Julie Sherman Wolfe draft. This is not, in my opinion, where the words stand out the most. But I was higher than these two on it. I would say it's more than okay. I think it's a really, really solid movie. In all honesty, this movie was also a casualty of the year it came out, because not a casualty, it's a great movie, but there were a lot of big heavy hitter movies that year, and I don't remember what they were, but I remember thinking if this movie would have come out in 2017, everybody would have been like, why isn't it at our local megaplex? Like that's what this movie had going for it. So absolutely needed to be on this list. I'm happy that it's included, even though I'm not as happy as I would have been with Holiday Hotline, but here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are. So we did it, guys. We got the top 10, but before we go, we need to hear everybody else's top 10. And I think this is the moment we've all been waiting for. I'm so excited to hear what Julie's top 10 of her own movies are.
I actually, I forgot, I forgot about Holiday Hotline completely, and I didn't put it on my list, but now I'm like,
Yay!
I guess that was a pretty good movie, but you have to understand, it was a strike. It was in the fog of war, it was it was all just a blur is doing those movies, so, okay, so should I go 10 to 1?
10 to 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so I put for 10, I put Dickens of a Holiday. 9, I had Field Day. 8, Hello, It's Me, just for its, it was the first one and it has a special place in my heart. 7, Christmas Club. 6, Holiday Spectacular. Was 6. I don't know. 5, Taking a Shot at Love. 4 was Wedding Every Weekend. 3 was Birthday Wish. 2 was One Royal Holiday, and 1 was Hanukkah on Rye.
Awesome.
So there you go.
List.
Quality list.
All right, for the side. Go ahead. For the side hustle, so we can see Erinbeth. How'd your list turn out? I know you can reveal the scores at the end here if you want to.
I was going to tell Julie that if you would like to trade out Holiday Hotline for your number 3, I wouldn't say anything, but
See, Birthday Wish is actually one of my absolute, like, Birthday Wish is like one
there you
that people go nuts. People always talk to me about Birthday Wish. So,
Thank
and that's the one
you.
that's aired the most of any of my movies. That's number
Wow,
one.
yeah.
Birthday
Yeah.
Wish. Yeah. Yeah.
I
All
know
right.
my audience. I know what the audience wants to hear here for this final list.
And
Okay,
Birthday
Erinbeth, what's your
Wish
list?
isn't-
10 to
I say
10 to
Birthday
1.
Wish isn't terribly, down on my list. It's just not in my top 10. My number 10 is Summer in the Vineyard. Number 9 is The Convenient Groom.
Thank
Took that
you.
totally up.
Hmm.
Number 8
Old school,
is
old
Field
school.
Day. 7, Hello, It's Me. 6, Hanukkah on Rye. 5, A Holiday Spectacular. 4, Wedding Every Weekend. 3, Holiday Hotline. 2, One Royal Holiday. And I think A Dickens of a Holiday is entirely too low on this list. It is absolutely one of my favorite Christmas movies that Hallmark has ever done. I watch it all the time. Like, it's just one I put on in the background. And I can clearly remember the first time I watched it. When Chris starts going in on that monologue, I leaned forward. I don't lean forward on Hallmark movies.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
You
but
stop
I
wrapping your
remember-
presents. You stop wrapping presents, and you
That's
pay
right.
attention.
It is.
Yeah.
It was the part where I was like, I'm like, what am I watching here?
Yeah, that was I felt like I was
so
watching like a
fantastic.
Patrick Stewart level of awesomeness
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
that.
It was absolutely amazing. And I love A Dickens of a Holiday. So
Thanks.
I'm right there. That one's top of my list too. So for my list, it's number 10, Holiday Spectacular. Number 9, Birthday Wish. I do love it. I don't think it belongs that high, but I do love that one. Number
Julie and I
8
disagree. Julie and I definitely disagree with you.
Number 8, I have Marry Me at Christmas, which we didn't talk about.
That was originally on my list, actually.
I love
That was
that.
there.
It's like one of the first ones I got into Hallmark movies with, and I still watch it all the time. Christmas Club I had at 7, Taking a Shot at Love at number 6, Summer in the Vineyard at number 5, because I'm a sucker for the wine movies.
Knew that. Yeah.
Number 4, Holiday Hotline. Number 3, Hanukkah on Rye. Number 2, A Dickens of a Holiday, and number 1, Run Royal Holiday. So we'll get to scores in a second. Let's hear the panelists. Dan, what's your personal top 10 list?
So I had 2 not make the list. And the 2 that I had not make the list, one of them was Holiday Hotline, which I think we all know how I feel. And the other was Perfect Pairing, which I got to be honest.
Right, that one.
That is not a movie that I would have fought anyone on. I think the beauty of that movie is Brennan Elliott and this scene in the car with the top down in the wintertime, and they're singing in between talking about ice wine. And there's something about that movie that on paper I was like, this sounds awful, but for some reason it kind of sort of still worked. And I had a hard 8 that I just loved. And then these last 2, I was like, what are some fun choices? So Perfect Pairing was 9. 10 was Finding Santa, 9 Perfect Pairing, 8 Wedding Every Weekend, 7 right in front of me, 6 Christmas Club, 5 One Royal Holiday, 4 Holiday Spectacular, 3 Hanukkah on Rye, 2 Dickens of a Holiday, 1 the real one, Holiday Hotline. The movie that I did not want on this list under any circumstances was Always Amore, a movie that I think flat out doesn't work across the board.
Dan, I will tell you off the record about that entire process.
Yeah. Okay, great. That's all I needed. All I needed to know I was on the right track. But
I don't hate it. It's not one of my favorites how it turned out. If I hated it, I would have turned it in, right? So like I always like to think I turn in something that I'm happy to put my name on. But that was that had a lot of permutations, that particular movie. It definitely went through a lot of different permutations.
I think it's disjointed, and none of the emotional stuff lands all the way down to the Hines scene where he's crying, and I love Tyler, and this was kind of when he was blowing up. All of that, everything about that movie, I remember like watching it going, I hate this movie. And I was literally like, if anybody is going to play this movie because Tyler Hines is in it, I'm going to veto it. I don't care if it costs me. I don't want it anywhere on my list. So that was the one that was an absolute non-negotiable for me.
He'll make up for it with Kansas City.
Oh, listen,
the
the
Chiefs.
dude's done plenty that has worked. I'm not worried
Yeah.
about him.
No, also the hair, the Roman,
The hair was
the
something.
Dumb and Dumber haircut
So
was
bad.
The hair was
not
something.
helpful.
Yeah.
Not helpful.
That was a choice for sure.
Mary, let's hear your top 10.
Okay, so my top 10, I also only had 2 that did not make it. Number 10, Holiday Spectacular. Number 9, I also love Marry Me at Christmas. It was, I think, the first holiday movie that year. And that was the first year that my friend and I started doing our like hooked on holiday movies
Yeah,
deal.
what year was that?
Is it 2017?
17, yeah. I think that was my first Christmas movie, maybe. Anyway, go on. I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that one.
I mean, if I watched it for the first time now, I don't know that I would love it so much, but it still holds a special place in my heart. So it's number 9. Number 8, The Christmas Club. Number 7, Right in Front of Me. Number 6, Field Day. Number 5, Wedding Every Weekend. Number 4, One Royal Holiday. Number 3, A Dickens of a Holiday. Number 2, Hanukkah on Rye. And number 1, as Dan said, the real one, Holiday Hotline.
I'm gonna have to rewatch it.
I think
Strong
Lynn
no
needs
with
to
a-
rewatch it too.
Wrong no with a hard H. Hard H on that note.
All right, let's hear Lynn's top 10.
All right, number 10, Holiday Spectacular. Number 9, Taking a Shot at Love. Number 8, Hello, It's Me. Number 7, A Dickens of a Holiday. Number 6, Field Day. 5, One Royal Wedding. 4, Wedding Every Weekend. 3, Hanukkah on Rye. I think we all agree The Birthday Wish at number 2, and it is no surprise that my number 1 would be The Convenient Groom, because I love a fake relationship,
Look at
and this
Dan's
movie is a banger. And you are welcome that I didn't play it at all, people, out of love for you, Dan. But
Wow.
honestly, yes, it's fantastic.
That would
Vanessa
have
Marcel is
stung.
great.
That is so early in the that is
Yes,
so early in the
in your repertoire.
lineup.
I
Yeah.
know.
Like
But
really
it's your only fake relationship movie, and I hope you
Is
write
it?
another one just
Is
for
it
me.
really?
Yep, it's your only fake.
Huh. Yeah,
It's one of my
2016. Wow, yeah. And
Yeah.
actually the one before that was a rewrite. So that was probably my first one that was just me. I think it was
But
also
that's
based
okay.
on a book, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
I
you
don't like doing books anymore.
No.
It's too hard. It's so much more it's so much harder and it ends up being the same amount of work. So like
But I love that you and I can watch The Birthday Wish together because it's in the right place. It's great.
Always.
All right.
I mean,
So
eight of my 10 movies were from 2020 or more recent, like since 2020. So I think we know where I stand on all of them.
all right. So Erinbeth, give us the scores. Who won this match? What happened?
Mary won. She had a lot in the right place. I think those are the place.
Yep, you get a point
Yes.
for getting the list and an
Mary
extra
won.
point
Yeah.
if you get it into the right order. So what are the scores?
I was extremely impressed with Mary, especially like in the beginning. She scored 12, which
Wow.
honestly, Dan, you scored 11. So it wasn't like
Wow.
you did
Once again,
so
neck
much.
and neck.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
Listen,
yours were
I'll
so
take
much
11.
worse.
And what did I get? 10?
And so you got 10. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Really close.
A good
this has
match.
been really
Close
this has been really awesome, you guys. I really
This is
appreciate
fun.
this.
you love it?
Even the whole thing. It's just been really, really fun.
I'm
It's-
so
it's
glad
cool.
that you joined us. We're gonna
Yeah, thank
before we
you.
say bye, Kate, I need you to read the list for the final time, the top 10,
Yeah, the
please.
top 10 list. Here it is. Definitive, the top 10 Julie Sherman Wolfe Hallmark movies. Number 10, Finding Santa. Number 9, Taking a Shot at Love. Number 8, The Christmas Club. Number 7, Right in Front of Me. Number 6, Field Day. Number 5, Wedding Every Weekend. Number 4, A Dickens of a Holiday. Number 3, Hanukkah on Rye. Number 2, One Royal Holiday. And number 1, A Holiday Spectacular.
Great job, everybody. In
Yes.
September, we've got a mega draft coming up. It's going to be the One Tree Hill draft, the lead cast of One Tree Hill, the top 15 movies, 4 drafters, tons of vetoes coming into this match. It's going to be completely bonkers. Kate and Erinbeth, you guys did a great job hosting. Thank you so much. Julie, our new best friend, love it. Such a good sport. Loved your list. Let's all say bye.
Mahalo.
Bye.
Birthday wish needed to be on this list. Hallmark Movie Drafts is a monthly production. Stephanie Purcell creates the movie synopses using descriptions from IMDb or Hallmark.com as a base. Kate Bacca vets the list of eligible movies and manages our Letterboxd account called Hallmark Drafts, where you'll find the list of eligible movies for each show, as well as the final top 10 lists and the panelists who drafted them. Erinbeth Cermak creates the Where to Watch lists and the trivia round questions, and along with Stephanie and Kate, provides additional creative, research, and hosting support. I'm Lynn Austin. I'm the showrunner, producer, and host. I staff the panels, create the show topics, manage the production schedule and the HMD socials, and edit and publish the podcast. Intro and outro music is provided courtesy of Amato Zapana. Thank you to the Deck The Hallmark double-deckers who share their passionate opinions on these Hallmark movies that we love, or maybe not love, so much.